I can do about that.
Well, I'm not sure. I think we're live.
Ow!
I'm not sure. I'm
Ow!
not sure. Yeah, we're live.
Yeah. Are we?
Hi. Yeah.
Hi, Paul.
Hi, Evan. How are you?
Hey, I bought myself an early birthday present. Let me show you. I got these. I really wanted
my
these.
God! I was just looking at them. Those are awesome.
They're
Wow.
the guy who made these. Roger knows him. His name is Jim. I think Citronella or no. I used to buy Godzilla figures from him through the mail in the '90s at Club
Wow.
Daikaiju, and he, for some reason, well, I know for some reason, he's made a couple of figures that are on my like Grail list: the Gorgo, baby and mother, the Reptilicus, and I think there's one other
Hi,
one.
Roger.
Hi, Roger. I just mentioned you, but I was
Hi,
gonna buy these on on eBay. Somebody had these on eBay, and he was willing to give me $50 off. So
Oh,
I was
awesome.
thinking of going for it because these are on my Grail list. They're just cool. I like them. I realized
Yeah.
I'd want them, and I dropped Roger a line because he knows his onions for sure. And he said, "Oh, the guy's got them in hand," because I saw that they're coming back out. A mock time, I
Mm.
think, is going to have them out. So I got
Yeah.
all excited. I'll buy them from a mock time. But then I checked Roger, and he's got them on hand for 200 shipping with shipping. It turns out his dad is the guy who's got them on eBay for 300 and was giving me a break. He goes, "Oh, they're back up." I'm like, "What the hell?" But I was happy. I got those. That's an early birthday present to myself. And yeah, I want too much stuff. What was I looking at? I was looking at, oh my God, the Migos that are coming out.
Oh yeah, the strange-faced Star Trek ones that are coming out now. They did resculpts on
Those are
McCoy.
those.
It's insane looking.
They're weird. I like them a lot though, and they're doing some odd characters, and they did a really funny looking creature from the Black Lagoon, and I really like it. I like the aesthetic of looking as if there aren't better sculptors, as if it's still the '70s and you can't make such detailed stuff. And they've got the Fly. I mean, the thing is, if I go down that rabbit hole, if I buy one, I'm gonna want. I was looking at all these Mego figures and all the horror ones that they're doing. Whoop! I froze.
Oh.
Uh-oh. I lost connection to my camera.
Okay. It's okay. Everything will be okay. I would.
How do I do this? Start camera.
I don't know. You're plugging it in through a cable, right? This is riveting. I unplug it, plug it in again.
Okay, hold on. Here I go.
Oh,
this is exciting. Whoa, here I am.
But yeah, you're back.
Da 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 da. I am back. I look. Why is everything purple? I got to figure out how to light. Like, look, your lighting is really good in your office.
Yeah, it actually hello. Yeah, it's
Andy.
we moved the desks around because Stevie's teaching here, and it just worked out better for lighting and green screen.
Right.
But yeah, you look like a 70s VHS tape right now.
Yeah, I look horrible, and my hair is like melding into my chair shape, so I look like I've got Angus Scrimm's hair. But now I look like a guru. I'm Angus Scrimm as a guru, and I didn't shave.
Well, you never shave. You never shave for me.
I do. I'm even buying new razor blades. I have to. I'm running out.
The first time I met you, you had long hair.
Yeah, I had long hair a lot. Well, you were the first time I met you. You were a beast. You were like stove. You were like Victorian Dowd, right? You just posted a picture of yourself recently, and you had the fuzz. Well, yeah, there's a picture of you up there looking like a 70s TV movie villain.
All right.
Pasquale Buba.
Yeah, there it is.
It's yeah. It's behind you. It's not you. So, if anybody's with us, please, I need horror movie recommendations because I started watching again just the other day. It had nothing to do with this. But I wasn't watching anything for I think I watched 2 movies in the last 2 months. And then in the last 2 or so days, I binged. I watched 4 movies on Sunday night and then 3 movies last night, and I can't remember any of them. I have to look them up. And I've got my list. I've got my ridiculous old man list, because before I transfer onto the computer, I write them all down. It's awful way to do things. And I'm looking at movies that I saw 2 months ago, and I don't remember them already. What the hell was Bleeding Mountain? It's Chinese. I don't remember it. Horror Stories from South Korea. Don't remember it. I saw this within, oh God. I do remember The Power from 1984.
Right. That was
Don't remember.
Yeah, that had
what was it?
It was like a college and a weird item and stuff and I don't know.
That's not helping.
Well, I mean, I know more than you do. I don't know. No. I think that's on Tubi.
Well, I know it was 1984, so there, because I wrote it.
Why don't you take better notes?
I used to, and they were for what? Why would I have 3 pages of notes on Deadly Blessing. I'm a fucking film review, all right? What am I gonna do with that? Just in case somebody. Here's my notes for the Friday the 13th episode we did. That worked, but yeah, writing down stuff about Deadly Blessing, 1981. Look at this. I made a whole fucking pages of notes on this horror movie. That's probably more notes than the screenwriter made on Deadly Blessing. Nothing lands. Yeah, that's great. Oh, I called it a Hittite Giallo. A Hittite Giallo, phony as hell. That made me laugh. Wait, listen to this. Listen to this. This is why am I not on Rotten Tomatoes? The ending is a giant pile of horseshit gimmick. Screenwriters and there's nothing. Super Reveal is a crap sleepaway camp take that makes more sense but has no power to its punch. Sinners get punished. Why didn't he run? Because Craven makes bad haunted house attractions. Well, there you go. So yeah, I have made good notes about bad movies.
Right, but if I may, I think we've recently seen a movie that is possibly one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Oh, I thought you were going for the one that we liked.
No,
the one that we didn't like. No, right. Let's go with. I think I know where you're going, and let's go there.
Right,
as
Evil
horrible
Clutch.
as it is.
Evil
Clutch. Shit!
All right,
I have read about Evil Clutch, and I confuse it with the Japanese movie.
Right.
Trap.
Evil Death Trap.
Some Trap the Dead. Yeah, which we watched at your house many years ago with the crowd.
Right.
And it wasn't very good, but it was one that was getting kicked around a lot. And I know I've heard of Evil Clutch because it's a funny title. I mean, Clutch is about. It really is an evil clutch. If that excites you, you can turn the movie off after 5 minutes because the evil clutch disappears. Actually, the evil clutch comes back. So you told me, you wrote me and said, Evil Clutch is the worst Italian horror movie you've ever seen.
Yes.
And it's in my top 3 of worst I've ever seen.
Of Italian or movies?
Italian. Oh, it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. It reminded me a lot of those German or French movies that have just, I'm a mad mutilator, and there's a road, and there's a couple,
Right.
and then the mummy showed up.
Right. Nothing happens.
I can
Nothing
never
fucking
remember the name.
happens.
This one's worse than in that one. At least that guy was trying to shoot the horse with a shotgun, and there was a mummy, and there was a thing. That French one that was crazy.
Now,
one of the
I have a
worst
confession.
movies, but
I didn't watch the last 20 minutes. I fast forwarded through it.
Oh, that's
with
cheap.
Images.
That's cheap.
Oh no, you don't. You're not.
Well, I have a confession. I watched it. You didn't miss anything. Nothing happens.
It's so bad.
There's a track shot. Well, wait, did you go past when they like the two zombie thing around with the head and they put it on a wall?
I mean, all I remember is people fucking talking, walking up things and down things. That's all that happens.
Yeah,
that's all that happens in this movie.
The guy who made this obviously was into Sam Raimi, but Sam Raimi would have the camera follow action as well as just characters walking around. He just has a steady cam behind people while they're walking in the woods. And there's just interminable scenes of people walking with a camera behind them. And then at the end, in a shot that some fans describe as harrowing and beautiful, because they're fucking nuts, you follow the final girl while she's screaming and crying. And that's pretty much all that happened. Evil Clutch is about a woman. There's a woman and a man in a hovel in the middle of nowhere, and she evil clutches his crotch. She's got one of the worst accents I've ever heard. And he walks in and he's like this bargain basement Udo Kier or something. And he gets down beside her and goes, "Oh, this is an erotic thriller or something." No, but then she evil clutches him with a hand puppet claw that comes out of her vaginal area. And that's the evil clutch. And he gets evil clutched. And then it gets really dark and you can't see what happens. He just spits shit. And then she laughs at him. And then I think we get our title, Evil Clutch or whatever.
Right.
And then there's more people driving around. And then there's an hour and a half of nothing.
Right. There's that the Italian Thomas Dolby guy dressed the guy old motorcycle who's being a jerk.
Yeah, he's kind of like the Aero captain from you almost expect him to have a beanie on his head. He's got the glasses. He's there's something wrong with his throat, so he's got the little electronic device there's no point to it. And he then tells them stories that they show flashbacks to kind of open up the movie. But it's the same actors playing your leads are on the beach, and then they just kill each other in this like fake creep thing. And the movie has no plot. I mean, these two people go up to the place where the evil clutch happened. I don't mind that they don't describe anything, but you don't know why there's a witch with an evil clutch extra arm, who the guy at the beginning is, why you should. It's like there's 5 people and it's terrible.
It's got a good theme song.
Evil Clutch.
Oh, it's very good. Yeah, Evil Clutch is don't watch it.
Did you go mute? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear. Yes, I can hear you now. Can you hear me? But yeah, this movie is terrible, and it does have some bizarre gore at the end,
right?
And it does also have no respect for its characters. I mean, there's this supposed sex slave zombie. It's not as exciting as it sounds. It's not a bad makeup job on that one. The bald zombie who's walking around laughing at everybody and chopping people's hands off with a rock. I mean, it's the stupidest fucking movie. Terrible. It got really boring, and I would not. Would you recommend this as a good bad movie?
No. It's agonizing. No. It's fucking torture. Funny. No, yeah, it's bad.
I kept wanting the movie Things to show up and save me, like Superman. That's how bad this movie was. It was probably worse than Things. It wasn't as assaultive as Things. It's terrible. But it was like Things. I was just like, where is this going? And Evil Clutch, I was like, why won't this go away. It was so fucking bad. I'm literally watching it going, what is happening here? I mean, who made this? Who kept making it? Who finished it? Who showed it? Right. Terrible.
Yeah.
Evil Clutch.
Yeah.
Evil Clutch was really bad.
Evil Clutch was
Don't
really
watch
bad.
Evil Clutch. I mean, right. If you're getting high with friends, you know what I mean? Don't watch Evil Clutch. Still don't.
I have a sneaking suspicion, even if you're high, you'll probably not watch the last 3 minutes of this movie.
This is some guesswork on your part?
Yes, medical research. So,
Evil Clutch was instantly one of the worst bad movies I have ever seen. It is just... It's like, I'm kind of glad I saw it because it is a high point of awful. And like, so when the cool kids go, have you seen Evil Clutch? I can go, oh yeah, I've seen Evil Clutch. Right. And then they can tell me it was harrowing and beautiful, and I can punch them, hit them with my shoe. You just can't handle. I looked it up, and yes, this is a movie that I thought to myself, come on, this is a movie where nobody can like this movie. There's no defense of this film. Right. And then there's multiple people talking about how beautiful and elliptical the story. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? That's how bad it is. My voice goes, what are you talking about? That's how bad it is. Has anybody listening to us, or watching us, or ignoring us seen Evil Clutch? I want to know if they've seen Evil Clutch.
Right. No, they're
the Evil Clutch itself is really. Yeah, well, don't put it that way. I don't have anybody with that. Don't. You had me at vaginal clutch. But it's not good. It sounds good. If you describe Evil Clutch, you might think it's a really funny, car crash kind of movie.
Yeah, it's about a bad old Volkswagen where you always got to fix the clutch. Evil Clutch. This movie's a piece of shit. I mean,
by the maker of the lift. Evil Clutch.
Movie, it's the Italian. It's the Italian.
We could do that.
What could do what?
We can make our movie now that anybody can make a movie. And this is one set. It could be an entire movie in a car. And it's a challenge, like Rope or that Zoom movie. And it's Evil Clutch, the clutch of evil. I like it. I think we can do this. Let's write this high. Let's get very high and write Evil Clutch. And who would star in Evil Clutch?
And to be honest
Rob
with you,
Zombie's wife?
I didn't hear the beginning of your pitch because I was checking email. But don't make that think that my enthusiasm is fake.
Don't be that guy checking email while I'm pitching you on my movie. It's one. We can make our own movie now because everybody makes their own movie and they all look like a real movie. One set, one clutch.
No, we just have to we'll make a movie where we go into the woods. We go into the woods. There's some family tragedy. There's a ghost. Oh, yeah. There's a kid in the wall.
You're an architect or screenwriter or writer or teacher, something very, very white.
Right.
For white people. Very boring. Architect was a big thing. But Evil Clutch could be somebody who has to pick up hitchhikers so that the car can kill them, or they have to kill people in the car to basically oil the evil clutch.
Okay. I mean,
okay.
Yeah, I guess that works.
Do I look like a fucking ding dong right now? Yes,
no, yeah.
Well, I have no eyebrows, and my glasses were destroyed. Somebody with an evil clutch drove over my glasses.
Why don't you have eyebrows? Is it?
I don't. I hate that. They're very fine. Whatever I do have is very, and I don't. Like one day, I think Sarah just went, "You don't have eyebrows," and I was like, "Oh my god!" And I have one of those creepy heads without eyebrows. Although right now the way the lighting is going, I almost do have. So this is here. I'll just pretend that I have eyebrows.
That looks good.
It's so embarrassing. I hate not having eyebrows. And I'm all tired, so I got the hollows. But I do have. How's this? It's your
little Clockwork Orange
Migo figure. That classic moment. Now I look like real classic Migo Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
So yeah, Evil Clutch was bad.
Yeah. So
but,
there's another. Now I watched another terrible movie that's insane that it turns out that you watched a while ago.
Ooh, good.
Grotesque.
What?
Grotesque.
So what was it? Oh my God. Wait, I think I watched it after you.
Oh, I thought you watched it before me. But whatever.
No. The thing about Grotesque was you watched it. I think you and Stevie, did you both watch it?
Yes.
I think she chimed. Grotesque was the movie that I just could not. I couldn't. I tried to. I wouldn't go near it because I thought it was a home invasion movie, and I really don't like those. But it was. Now, Grotesque was worth seeing because Grotesque is unique.
Yes.
I've never seen a movie like Grotesque. Never.
Yeah. No.
I don't even know how to begin to describe Grotesque because I think the people who made Grotesque can't describe Grotesque.
Right, because
it's grotesque.
Well, the thing is, yeah, it looks like it from shots of it. It looks like it's a home invasion, and it is a home invasion. But that's only it's every movie you could think of.
It's everything
violently thrust together. It's so insane.
It was entertainingly bad, although not as entertainingly bad. The thing that's interesting about Grotesque is that the movie itself isn't necessarily funny. The ideas are funny. The fact that the movie changes constantly, that the movie turns on itself, not in a good way. I mean, this is not like I can't remember the movie. The one with the two women, Diabolique. This is not like a planned, brilliant movie, but the movie goes off the rails as a narrative. The scenes aren't very good, but what happens in the larger picture is bizarre because the movie changes and constantly throws new plot lines at you. It's like 6 scripts.
Yeah, and tonally different. It's not. Is. I mean, it's worth watching to the end because the ending is just so insane.
It's got adult punk rockers. The punk rockers are funny because they're awful.
Right.
They're just awful. And I think if you go by the Bryan scale, it's misleading because some of the people have not really worked and they have their pictures in the IMDb. But the guy who plays the main punk rocker is horrible.
Yeah.
And actually, the girl who plays the lead girl punk rocker is also horrible. Somewhere in there is Robert Z'Dar, maniac cop,
right,
with spiky hair. The movie almost feels like it was shot in different locations with different actors, almost, but they're all there at the same time. So there's a family. So here we go. Okay, now I'm remembering. It starts off with a fake opening. That's one cliche trope thing going. Turns out it's about horror movie makers, sort of. It's a special effects guy.
Yeah.
So you have your fake scares when you meet the members of the family, except that the old man is going around scaring everybody rather than an obnoxious little kid.
Right.
You've got Linda Blair, who is a trope unto herself. Except she's hardly in it. That's what she produced.
Not only is she hardly in it, but in the beginning, we're introduced to a friend of hers who's going to go with her to this cabin, right? And there's enough screen time given with this character that you're thinking, well, is this our final girl? Is she going to be our protagonist? What's going on? And that's when the movie starts getting weird in the fact that not only is it different movies, it's different movies with different protagonists and different stars as it goes along.
You never know who your main character is supposed to be. And it turns out that's by choice.
Yeah.
And just bad filmmaking. You think it's going to be Linda Blair because she's top billed.
Right.
And she's played so many final girls. Then you think it's going to be her friend. You know that the parents are not going to make it. The parents never make it through these movies unless if they're in them from the beginning.
But didn't you expect her to be? But didn't you expect that the parents to make it for a little bit longer than they did?
No. Actually, I thought that the father was possibly going to be using some of his special effects stuff to maybe kill a couple of people. Some of the revenge kind of thing going on. And then they make this weird reference to some family member that it's stuck in the back of my head. It was the Chekhov's gun, but it was like Chekhov's character, you know, the music and everything. People go, oh, don't do something with Uncle Ernie or what. It was just ridiculous. So I was waiting for that gun to go off. And when that gun went off, the movie completely changes and becomes a Bad Ronald, the unseen weird thing in the house. And that literally is the new movie.
Yeah.
So you get home invasion, then you get creature in the house, and you get the revenge stalking of the punk rockers.
Right.
And then it becomes an entirely new movie in the last 25 minutes. Literally,
then it becomes an anthology film for real. Then it's like, oh wait, and then without giving necessarily it all away, if you ever want to watch this, it just turns so fucking stupid for reasons I don't understand.
It becomes fascinating in how they just decided to not give a shit.
Yeah.
I can't tell if they thought they were being clever by introducing all these elements, or if they were just high. If they were literally just high and did like, did Linda Blair decide, I'm done? I got to go to Hell Night. I'll see you. And then, I mean, so it's an interesting movie to watch because you can tick off so many bingo card spaces on what's going on with this movie. None of it is done well. But it gets so stupid. It gets, who's that woman, Renee? Who's the woman who made Street Fighter?
Oh yeah,
it gets that stupid.
Yeah,
Lady Street Fighter.
Right.
And the blood, the one with the frozen scream. It gets that stupid out of nowhere, and then it gets like a Monster Club, kind of thing.
Right.
Right. That's what I was. It literally goes, and it's almost like a fucking children's movie at the end. It's just
a foreign. Movie.
It's kind of like watching this movie. You could just see the graph of what is going on in this fucking movie. New movie. It really does. It's terrible all the way through, but fascinating. I've never seen a movie that changed the plot as often as that film. That's about the best you can recommend it. And the end is ridiculous. I mean, you gotta love a movie that involves plastic surgery, but doesn't have the plastic surgeon do plastic surgery on people that he could have to make their life better. This fucking idiot goes around. I want to blow the fucking movie so badly, not in a friendly way. Because I'm sitting there and I'm like actually yelling at the screen mentally. I'm going, why the fuck didn't he just? I mean, the worst monster in the closet. Our son is a mess. Our relative that we don't talk about, who we keep in the attic. It is the worst version of that you've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, take him to a doctor. And it turns out, oh, your uncle, because Tab Hunter, right? Is it Tab Hunter?
Tab Hunter, yeah.
He just shows up out of nowhere in his second movie with Linda Blair. I think he's in that movie with Dan Haggerty and the frozen zombies in tinfoil, which is a piece of shit. Maybe she had to be in that. And he just shows up and is like, well, the uncle is literally this. I'm not gonna. He's a plastic surgeon. They talk about him from the beginning. They mention him. He shows up later in the movie. Why couldn't he just give this person plastic surgery if he? Why?
He can only make people look like that. He can't make people look
worst plastic
unlike that.
He is the worst plastic surgeon. Right. He does bizarro. He's bizarro plastic surgeon.
Yeah, eye of the beholder.
Right. He's like Tom Berman Studios plastic surgeon. He just carves up your face. So yeah, I watched it after you did, and I was like glad I watched it.
Yeah,
because it was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I just realized at the end of the movie, the two evil punk rockers kind of become the protagonists.
Well,
right? They start making phone calls and looking for help. It's fucking insane.
Yeah. I wouldn't go that far, but I see your point. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Well, if you think about it, it's not that you spend all the time. They become the focus.
Right.
The focus, maybe that's the better way to put it. The focus of this movie changes about 6 times. The plot changes. It's like, it's so fucked up. So yeah. It's a uniquely bad movie. I mean, here's the thing. Evil Clutch is a uniquely bad movie. Evil Clutch is a bad movie, but you've seen bad movies like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We don't know what to do. We have no money. We're going to use 3 or 4 people, but when Sam Raimi did it, somehow it was spectacular, and this is boring.
We're going to use very few characters and keep transforming them and bloodying them up and chasing them, but it's and having quirky camera work and characters, but it adds up to nothing. It larger or smaller budgets. I feel like I've seen, especially that French movie we were talking about. That there's a German movie, I think, where there's a guy who just keeps stopping people on this in the highway and cutting them up. You know, just these ridiculous home movies. But this was unique in that I've never seen a movie with this surprise every 10 minutes or 20 minutes. It just honestly goes off the rails.
The only movie that I could compare it to is Kevin Smith's Red State,
really?
which is a movie that keeps you guessing exactly what's going on and who's your hero, and lots of people you go, oh, this person, I didn't expect them to die 10 minutes in. But it's not a terrible movie, but Grotesque is a lot more fun.
Yeah, Grotesque is definitely a crowd movie. It's a beer and pot crowd movie for sure. I mean, I was kind of like sad that I was watching it by myself, because I was like, this would be a good laugh, because people would just be going, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
new movie. This is literally a movie that if you went out, if you had to go to the bathroom or go make a sandwich and you came back, you'd go, "What's going on?" People would be like, "I don't know."
Yeah, did a new movie start? Wait a second.
Where's Linda Blair? Wait, what?
Yeah.
Where's her friend?
She's coming back, right? She's not going to die off screen. Right?
What
that would make no sense.
Guy doing? Yeah, who is the guy with the melty cheese face? Why are they killing him?
Why is he so strong? Wasn't he super strong in this? I'm not confusing him with something else, right? He could just fucking snap the shit out of you.
He kind of comes out of the wall like the Shockmaster in wrestling. He's like, and it's like, what the? But why does he get? The funny thing is, he gets angry, but it seems like he's not getting revenge for the family. He just seems pissed off. It's like there was a button that somebody hit. In case of family being murdered, release the freak. And they went, you know what I mean? Linda Blair runs out.
Right.
Mom's dead. Dad.
Yeah. And he's wiping the floor with these punkers. It's amazing.
And they fuck with him, and that's why he's killing them. He has the people who've given him his cream of wheat all these 20 years, he doesn't give a fuck about that. He's just like, I'm mad. And plus, he's got these tankers hanging off of his face to keep getting the worst makeup jobs yet. He's just got shit hanging out of him. He's like Uncle Wiggly, He's just going.
Yeah. It's like he had a really bad silly putty accident.
Oh,
it really is bad.
You go, oh my God, we couldn't let our relative out of the house because he's such a freak. And you just feel like you could just pull shit off. Get the So yeah,
no, that's
go.
like a skin tab. You think you could just cut those off, but
yeah,
no,
just
they
pull that
bleed.
crap off. Pull that crap off. So so yeah, that was terrible, but it was fun. It is funny as hell because it's one of those. I mean, you just go. Bleh. By the end of it, I was like ready for anything. I mean, they could have had. I mean, Dick Miller could have come out of a spaceship. He'd have Tokyo Gore Girl arms, and he'd be like fucking with people, and a sex scene. There'd be a hardcore sex scene. And then, footage from Night of the Living Dead because they could. I mean, it's just fucking unreal, unfucking real. Yeah, Grotesque was more entertaining than I expected from a movie that's basically like punk rockers break into the family's home. They give you no context or texture to this. It's much greater than that. Yeah. Holy shit. Oh, yeah. God. It is like 6 short films put together.
With
the worst Amicus ending.
That
ending
Amicus.
Fucking unreal. Fucking unreal, that ending.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. I'm still trying to figure out what's real in that movie. It's very important. What matters?
Oh, really? Yeah.
What's canon?
Oh man. So that was another movie we saw.
What else? Grotesque from 1988. Very, very bad. Yeah. Evil Clutch is from 1988, also known as Il Bosco, which made me laugh because it made me think of chocolate syrup running around. That's what they use for the blood. Il Bosco. Yeah. You like that? That's more of a ketchup sound. You like that?
I didn't know you did sound effects. Are you can you human beatbox for us, Evan? I'm sure
I'm not a human meat box.
Okay, so that was fun.
Oh, by the way, Prince Marky, R.I.P. What the fuck? 2 out of 3 Fat Boys are gone. 2 out of Disco 3 are gone. That's sad.
Well, they didn't live the healthiest lifestyle.
Let's not get into shaming.
I'm not.
People who call themselves the Fat Boys and sing about how much they eat. All you can eat. In jail without the food.
Oh boy.
I really like the Fat Boys though.
That's sad. I love the Fat Boys.
They're really good. I did not love their Freddy Krueger song, bringing it back to the horror, bringing this back. Friendship through horror.
Those songs never work. Those horror songs, like the fucking.
Don't they rap with the Beach Boys, the Beach Men? Burr, stick 'em. Moo. Ha stick 'em. Yeah, they stuck them in the ground. I didn't make that joke online, but I kept thinking it. I know. I like the Prince Marky. So yeah, I'll offer up a film.
Okay, good.
It's a horror sci-fi thriller, according to. I had never heard of this movie. I stumbled on it. It's called Star Crystal.
Yeah, I didn't finish it. I started it and I wasn't in the mood.
Then you missed the fabulous ending.
Yes, I did.
Excuse me while I blow my nose. This is fabulous television.
Yes.
These days.
Thank you for joining
Star
us.
Crystal has a 3.5. Even the lunatics on IMDb can't save this one. I have never. 4 people have the first 4 people on this have photos. They put them up themselves or somebody did. They're not in anything else. Apparently there's one woman in here that has a bit role that ended up becoming had a real career, named Emily Longstreth, which is a name I thought I recognized. This movie is very funny. Set in 2032, I'm reading right now. As missions from Earth are being sent to explore Mars, 2 groups of astronauts are mysteriously killed. Now, I thought I had seen this before. I thought, is this one of those Roger Corman?
Right, because that's what it looks like, right?
That's exactly what I thought it was, and I'm so sick of those because I keep clicking on this movie, and it turns out to be the same fucking Roger Corman movie. There's 80 titles for Forbidden World or Death Planet or the whatever those 2 movies are, one of which has that horrific raped by a monster scene, which is why little boys. Galaxy of Terror.
Yeah,
right?
that Galaxy of Terror.
But there's other names for these, and I keep stumbling into them. So I thought, did I watch this? Because it seems just. And then there's the one with Sid Haig, and he's got knives, and it's like the same movie.
Oh
but,
yeah, that one's. Is that Galaxy of Terror?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. I can't.
Was that? Oh God,
one of
there's
them
so
has,
many.
Yeah, and they all seem to be on the same set. So this is kind of like Galaxy of Terror, made by a local drama club or something like that, or like people who were doing radio drama in the 80s and decided to try to make a film. It's terrible. It is so. I was laughing a lot because its choices are terrible. Its dialogue is terrible. It really plays like an SCTV version of "There's an alien in our ship." The effects are laughable, horrible. The plot makes no sense. So these people find a star crystal, a thing which has a star crystal in it, and a bunch of people end up in the shuttle with the star crystal because their wheelie space station blows up in a very makes green slime look like 2001. And this ragtag group of non-actors basically crawl around this shuttle because for some reason the filmmakers decided that in the future the best way to save space would be to put everybody in habit trails. So everybody has to crawl on their hands and knees between the engineering room, the sleeping quarters, the control room, and the engine, all these rooms. And so you get to watch a lot of people crawl. Be like, Alien 3, but instead of walking through all those air shafts, they're crawling through them on hands and knees. It's terrible.
You know what? What it looked like to me? Like I think Stevie and I try to watch like the first 15 minutes, and I'm like, I can't take this right now. The thing is,
when are you stealing yourself for StarCraft?
Yes, I know. I'm training. So the thing is, it looks like when we were kids, and you would turn on a PBS channel, and they'd have some science fiction-y thing on,
like Star Wars.
Yeah, it was just terrible looking. And that's what it reminded me of. Canadian acting badly.
Yeah, it's like Canadian Doctor Who. But 70s Canadian Doctor Who. Yeah, the sets move. The special effects are hilarious. They don't do a bad job of. You can see parts of the Millennium Falcon on the models. You can actually tell without being NECA collector of the week maniac. You go, hey, look, they put Millennium Falcon pieces on this ship. So they have that down pretty good. The monster's ridiculous. It's just this blurpy, blobby. It looks kind of like the stuff in a Sterno can with eyeballs floating around. I mean, I sort of gotten to like it after a while. It kills almost everybody off, and then the movie does a grotesque and becomes a totally different film in the last 15 minutes. And a very unsatisfying shift.
Oh,
and it's just a really not. It's like the first half trying to do Alien, and then it's like they feel bad that they killed off a couple of characters, and Sun Classic Pictures people come in and go, let's make nice. Let's all be happy. I mean, it's practically becomes a religious picture. I would show you.
Yep.
And that's about it.
Oh,
okay. Crystal, which was that's okay. Yeah, I'm not. It's apparently there's a heavily cut version of it that's 65 minutes. That makes sense to me because you could cut out it's 91 minutes. You can cut out about 25 minutes of people on their hands and knees crawling through tubes and not locking doors and forgetting to get things and then going back for them and then crawling through tubes again. The best thing is that there is one really funny thing that they have so little money that a lot of the action takes place on a screen with dots representing people. They show you the heat sensor screen to show where everyone is in the ship. There's 5 people, so there's white dots on this screen, and the rat is the monster. So they're all, as you see somebody going through the, the really bad version of Tom Skerritt in Alien. So they're scooting through these things, and then they keep cutting back to the screen because they can't show the monster do anything. They show the screen and they show the dots, and if the dots converge, somebody died. It's very funny, but it's not. I don't know if it's worth firing this up and sitting through it.
Yeah,
but it is pretty funny that they basically go, let's go look at the pegboard with the lights, and it's an interestingly bad movie, but I don't think it's for fans of bad movie genre only, as they like to say. It would test your patience. I don't blame you for giving up. Did you watch the space station blow up? Because that was harrowing and beautiful.
In the beginning, yes.
Yes. I'm almost surprised you didn't sit through it more, that you didn't give it an extra 15 minutes after that harrowing. Did you like when the space station was escalators with the camera up so you could just see an escalator in a ceiling of like some semi-futuristic building in 1986? And all these people walking around and sliding. The Star Trek opening is pretty good. So bad. I really gotta wonder if people have like this is. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say I have this low tolerance for some low budget sci-fi stuff. It just drives me a little crazy, and this really it really came across like, it really did like it's community theater.
Yeah, but I have a high tolerance for the community theater thing, for the regional filmmaking kind of crap, which brings me to another movie if you want to hear a little bit about it.
Sure.
Oh God. Actually, I watched, the other night I watched a whole bunch of things. I watched in one night I watched Dream Demon, Evil Clutch, and Star Crystal, and Cemetery of Terror.
Cemetery of Terror is amazing.
Yes.
So amazing that I have a poster ready to talk about Cemetery of Terror.
Oh, that's fantastic. Was this on the Plex? Because I don't remember. I think I watched. Yeah, I don't know why I have not seen this earlier. It has all the hallmarks of something I would watch.
Yeah.
I kind of love this movie for no good reason, but I'm finding it very entertaining. It's not slow. Well, it is slow in parts.
Right. It
does have Hugo Stiglitz, and I fucking hate Hugo Stiglitz. I fucking hate him.
It's interesting. It's a. I remember there are actually some scenes in it that I thought actually creeped me out a little, that were effective. There's a scene later on where kids are trying to break through a window, and it's just shot really well. And there are some effective scenes. It's just, it's also kind of goofy and fun,
I've never seen a movie that starts off as kind of hardcore horror in the typical, here's a bunch of kids, teenagers. They did something. Actually, it really has some slowness in the beginning. I don't want to see people water skiing, and it's a Mexican film that was filmed in Texas. I've seen another film that this guy made. I can't remember what the hell it's called now, but it was also jerky and sort of entertaining. But it starts off. It's like a slasher zombie flick. For some stupid reason, the teenagers are actually college students or postgraduate. I think they're pre-med, just so that they can get into a morgue later on. And it's a Halloween ripoff that turns into a zombie ripoff, and then turns into The Little Rascals Go to Hell or something like that. I mean, it's just
yeah.
This is a movie that's really fascinating because your final you don't have a final girl. You have a final little rascals. They just literally get rid of the protagonists that you think you're going to be spending the whole movie with. They take the we transgressed the horror character who one man. There's a Hugo Stiglitz plays Dr. Loomis. If Dr. Loomis didn't know how to get anywhere, he's just driving in a car the whole fucking movie. There's Hugo Stiglitz driving in a car, driving in a car, driving in a car. You don't know. Towns seem much. Kids seem to be able to walk. Yeah, there's the. So these right here are our initial protagonists who steal a body because they're bored and their girlfriends won't go with them. And it gets pretty gory, as you can see here. There's a lot of death. And somehow the guy who's our Michael Myers, who we never see, he's got a breathing problem. He's another one of those heavy breathers. Lots of point of view shot. And somehow he's got to deal with the devil. So he has to deal with the devil, but they needed the kids from his book to bring him back to life on Halloween. It's literally on Halloween. And so while Dr. Loomis stand-in is driving around lost, telling everybody, no, you have to burn his body, they don't believe him. The police are very lazy. People cry, where are our kids? But these people go into the house. It's very Ghost House. You remember Ghost House? That piece of shit?
Yeah.
It's got a lot of Ghost House feel to it. Because all of a sudden he then has carry powers, which he uses when he feels like it. Oh, also, right, he swipes people to death. He has, for some reason, killer hands that have claws on them, although I don't remember seeing the claws. So he swipes at people, and then they start getting very bloody, fall down.
Yeah.
So it's a killer in the house. It's a Halloween ripoff with a Back from the Dead zombie thing. And then that movie ends. And we get the Goofy movie you were talking about, which is,
kids, right? Little kids. Hitchhiking to the cemetery.
Honestly, Yeah. I never understood why they were going to the cemetery. I don't think they understood. Like, there was one little kid who's just like, I don't know. They literally don't go there. But this one little shit makes them go, and they're all little kids. Some of them are like 5.
Yeah.
And and then you then follow these kids become your main characters,
right?
And are abused to no end. They just fuck with these kids, these poor kids. I mean, like they must have had an experience like they were working with who's that German director, Klaus Kinski? He was going to kill Klaus Kinski, whatever. Oh, it's like these kids feel like they were drowned. Yeah, Herzog. It's like these kids were put into a fucking Herzog movie. Run, throw shit at them, knock them over, blow wind at them, throw dirt at them, drop them into holes. Oh yeah. Did these kids run through it?
Yeah. It was the same.
I was like fascinated that it became almost felt like a kiddie movie, except that everything that was happening was pretty hardcore horror. Yeah. Zombies just come out of graves everywhere. And you're sitting there going, I mean, they kind of, I spent most of the last 25 minutes going, they're not going to kill a kid, are they?
Yeah.
Because they were pretty harsh on everyone else. I mean, they ripped up some people in that movie. And then all of a sudden, it's like you might as well play Benny Hill music. They just throw zombies at them. Like 40 zombies pop up in this movie. And then the whole house is going Carrie, and there's zombies, and it's fucking weird. I don't know if I can recommend it, but I didn't hate watching it at all.
It's an oddball curiosity.
Except for when Hugo Stiglitz was driving.
I think it's worth watching. Yeah, I think it's worth a watch.
And because Catholics made it somehow the cross works on the zombies, that was a weird bit of business. Don't they shoot them with arrows or something crazy? The movie's fucking insane. But the kids are great because the kids are resilient. Yeah. It's like these 5 little Mexican kids basically kicking the shit out of zombies. And, you know, they almost kick. But I mean, these kids are so fucked with. I was just like, it would have been interesting to see how they made this movie and if these kids had nightmares, because it was nasty. It was like crazy. So yeah, that was fun. Cemetery of Terror. I'm trying to remember what else he made. He made something that I think I have on your Plex that I watched that was not good. I don't have my keyboard so that I can look for anything.
Well,
can you bring up the IMDb on that, on this guy's films?
Sure. I shall. I have it here somewhere.
Has anybody seen anything? I'm not asking just to kill time, but I'm asking also because I'm really kind of at wit's end on what to watch.
I think earlier Roger asked if we had seen Possessor. I have. I actually rented it a while ago.
Oh, I've heard of that. That's Cronenberg's kid, right?
Yes.
I'll write that down. I did want to see that. Where the hell's my movies I want to see list? Stupid. But I have that too.
I found it cold, like a Cronenberg film, and not to you know. There's a lot. Here's my thing. Things that happened in the movie, I wish those were what the whole movie was about. I felt like what the movie was about was kind of odd. Not odd, but it's beautiful. It's interesting looking. It's certainly, you know, no one's making movies like that. So, you know,
not being facetious, but isn't there a body comment to it? Something about skin or something, or I can't remember now.
Roger's also asking about that's the version I rented actually, because it's weird. It's only like a minute or something cut out of that, so you're really not getting that much in the uncut version, I think. But yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. It's not something that I particularly love, though. You know.
Right. You're not big on Cronenberg Senior.
Right. So. You were talking about the director of Cemetery of Terror. He did Don't Panic, that movie that I did not watch.
I did.
Yeah, you watched that. That's another Melty False movie, right?
It's got the same vibe of very 80s genre with very little money, with a mix of Mexican and American locations, actors, whatnot. It's kind of like it's a lot like the other one. It's likable. It's kind of not very good though. You know what I mean? It's the B picture, and it just the guy just does not have the talent or the money to make a Return of the Living Dead.
Right.
Which is kind of the vibe I feel like he was sort of going through. But yeah, I mean, it's funny. That one feels a lot like an 80s American film, and the Cemetery of Terror feels a lot like an 80s take on an 80s Italian film.
Yeah.
That is a take on an American film by having all the kids, you know, those Italian films where they like Ghost House. Actually, that's what I'm thinking exactly of, Ghost House, which is terrible. But reminds me a lot of it. Let's buy it. You see, the clown from Ghost House could have walked right through this, and it would have made no problem. Would have made sense in Cemetery of Terror. All right, I got Possessor written down. What are some of these other movies? Have you ever heard of a movie called Eggshells?
No.
I forget where I was. Yeah, that's one that I'm trying to look for. There's a movie that Scott from The Good Friends wrote about that called Green Room, but it looks like it would depress me.
Yes, I know it's loved. I have not seen
it. It has that brutal element that I'm not in the mood for right now.
Right.
You know, it's got that. I don't think I can handle that kind of misery. And I still have to see Barbarian Sound System. I do want to see that. Oh God, Mutilations. I had that on my movies to check out. I can't believe it. I didn't even recognize that. How did I have that there? So
I have
yeah, Mutilations from 1986. Oof. Yeah, what?
I have a movie that I don't know if you've seen, and I can recommend it, although it's a little rough. But
you mean filmmaking or violence or
animal violence? It's Wake and Fright. It's a movie I've been wanting to see forever. It's from 1971. It's Australian, and it's considered important. There's Walkabout, there's this, and there's Mad Max that people talk about the revitalization of Australian cinema.
The Ozploitation.
Yeah, but this is a very intense movie. Yeah, I know it's on Tubi and Prime at the moment. It was considered lost for a while. This was on my radar for a long time, but there's one particular reason I didn't want to watch it, and I kind of fast forwarded through those parts. But it's
did they actually kill an animal?
Well, there's scenes of real kangaroo hunting. They filmed it, so you see that really happening. And there's some simulated violence against kangaroos on that night. But, I'm not really into that, but I've been curious about this movie for a while, and I'm glad I watched it. Donald Pleasance is in it. He's pretty intense.
Really?
I think was it Stevie said, wow, Donald Pleasance is acting in this movie. Like, he's actually acting.
It is interesting. It is interesting when he does show up to act, as opposed to when he shows up to be Donald Pleasance in a movie.
Right.
Just asking if his daughter can be in it, and okay, no, that's fine. Can we have a monkey with a razor blade? Yeah, good. Yeah, it's amazing to watch him just kind of be on autopilot and things like Paganini Horror or whatever, and he's just kind of doing his at least in when he's in the Amicus films and those things, he seems to at least be having a good time.
Yeah.
But in the 80s, it's really except for Halloween. Well, Halloween is late 70s. He's acting in Halloween, right? I think he is.
Oh yeah,
I think he's very good in Halloween.
He's low key.
I think but he grounds the movie and he gives it a sense of urgency, which Hugo only wishes he could. And but yeah, in the 80s, he's really tired looking. Too many movies for Donald Pleasance. No, I've never heard of this one.
Yeah, it was one of the problems.
I'm nervous about it.
It was considered there's a you'll know when the part comes up. You could kind of decide if you want to watch it or not, or fast forward it. It doesn't really affect the movie. It was considered lost for a while because it was cut up for various reasons, and they didn't think they had originals or negatives they could use to restore it. Right. And they were found about to cut it up. Right, there was TV versions and shit like that was available. But it's recently been restored. It's gorgeous looking. It's, I believe it's a Canadian director, and it's based on a book. It's beautiful Australia in the 70s, and it's about a teacher who is going on a holiday to Sydney. The problem is he is beholden by his job to be in this outback town. So he teaches in this town most of the year, and he has to be there for, I think it's 2 years. When he goes,
the Northern Exposure kind of thing. He got money, and he has to do charity type or work in a poorer neighborhood. Yeah,
right. He basically needs, if he takes off and quits the job, he loses $1,000. So he can't afford that. So he's miserable. and he's in a stopover on a town before going to Sydney. And this town is I guess a mining town, and it's a representation of kind of the male ego of the outback in the 70s, where it's fighting and it's drinking and it's gambling and it's sex, and it's our teacher makes bad life choices after bad life choices, and it's basically a few days of his life in this place.
Would you say it's a horror movie, or is it a psychological thriller, or does it have? But I mean, it sounds like it is a film of some sort.
It's definitely more of a psychological thriller than it is an outright horror film. Right. But it is very intense, and if that's what you're in the mood for, you'll get it from this. That's
the thing. I'm kind of. Yeah. I mean, Encounter at Raven's End, I think is the name of it, which I think is an Australian film that's 80s, very pretty. So it's a really odd film. There's definitely genre elements in it, but it's one of those films that, even though there are outright genre things going on, it feels like The Reflecting Skin. It just get a real sense of place. It's goofier, it's weird than The Reflecting Skin, which is fairly serious, and I liked. Well, I mean, I thought that, but that's an American film. But that just gives me, small cast, odd location, odd characters, weird situations. Low key in some ways, not explosive, and kind of depressing in a lot of ways, and oddball. Encounter at Raven's End, I think it's Raven's End is the name of it. I recommend that. It's a kind of movie where don't want to go too far into what it's about, but it's a real odd one. It was something that I wanted to see for a long. It's funny. Encounter at Raven's Gate, aka Incident at Raven's Gate. It's one of those movies where you see stills from it when you're younger, and you're like, that guy has cool hair. I think I'd like this movie. The people who made this movie, because you feel like the people who made this movie probably have some good albums or something, or that thing where you see enough cool shirts or haircuts, and you're like, well, I'm attracted to that. That might be good.
I'm looking at the way. The image reminds me the DVD or the VHS copy, cover looks like I know this cover, but I've never seen the movie.
Yes, guy with spiky hair and probably the dark glasses is the image that comes out of that a lot. It's a neat movie. I think it's well acted. It's got it. You don't know where it's going to end up. I liked it. Do you want to talk about, since we're in that area of the world, do you want to talk about Jack Be Nimble?
Yeah, I would love to. I have a poster for that too.
I almost watched this movie several times on your Plex and just decided not to, because I just thought it was going to be what I thought it was going to be. Wasn't necessarily terrible, but it was not what I was in the mood for. And this was not what I did. This movie this was a real surprise for me, and I really liked it.
Yeah,
a lot. It also in some ways reminds me, I mean, maybe it's just the way filmmaking is, and I'm not going to say I've seen a ton of Australian, New Zealand films, but there really does seem to be a tone there that makes me think, when I think of one, I think of another film, and I go, oh yeah, that's also from that part of the world.
Right.
But holy shit, Jack Be Nimble is nothing that I was expecting. And it's funny because you pointed out that about it being like a fable, which I didn't catch. I was definitely following certain elements of it, and I did not catch the fable, which I should have. A lot of people have, and well, no, maybe I shouldn't have. But you caught that, and I realized, and I started looking the film up. Not a lot on it. It's another film that people either love it or hate it, and I don't agree with the people that hate it. It's a really off-putting film. I found it very depressing, in a good way. But I was in a really bad mood after watching it. We were talking about it just after I saw it, and I was bummed out. And if a movie bums you out, and it's not because it's like a cannibal film where they're just relentlessly punching you in the face, I think that's a really effective sign. But I was really, it's a movie I'm definitely going to watch again. And it's a movie that I found at times thrilling in its weirdness, as opposed to trying to have patience with its weirdness. There's when you get to the stuff that everybody likes to call David Lynch or Lynchian or quirky, there's definitely that, but it's so bizarre. Mostly the four sisters.
Right. Because visually, they're very visually throughout the movie, and especially near the end, it's striking. It's frightening, those sisters.
And, like I would buy the action. If somebody wants to make action figures of the four sisters, I'm there. They are a strange device in this movie. Right. When you think about the movie in terms of a fable, they make perfect sense. But since this movie is very grounded in reality in a weird way, considering the fact that this movie has multiple tropes going on, it's not. So, could you describe the movie? Because I feel like, the high concept, and then.
What we have is a woman finds out that her husband is cheating on her, and she decides to leave him, and they have two children, a young girl and a younger boy. And when the husband comes home, we find out that he's not going to take care of the kids on his own, so he basically puts them up for adoption. In the very beginning of the film, we see an affluent family adopt the daughter, the girl, and a kind of working class, rural family adopt the boy. And my son,
were bad or bad because when they walk, the dad steps on like a toy or something when he walks through the orphanage. The working class, backwoods dad. They're just there to get a kid.
Yeah. And so when I first heard about this film, you read the description and you go, okay, well, these brother and sister are separated, and after years they come back together, or there's an encounter, but that you could not imagine what's coming in this film. That's not really what you get. And then we see them grow up separately for a while. And I don't know how much you want to get into specifics of the movie with this.
They're both miserable in a way. So it's Jack is the boy, Jack Be Nimble. Dora is the girl, and he wants to find her. He's a disaster. This family is cruel and brutal.
They basically adopted him to be a servant. He is to work the land for them. And there's four sisters, and they needed
possibly. You also get the idea that they wanted him to do well in school so that he could earn money, possibly at something else down the line or whatever. But they feel they've done him, and the father is brutal to him.
Absolutely terrible.
The father is horribly brutal to him. It's harrowing without being, without reveling in the cruelty. It's not really but he whips him with barbed wire. The mother is possibly worse. She in some way seems to be like a evil queen, evil stepmother. And she is honestly fully cruel. She's emotionally abusive to him, manipulative, works the family. I mean, it's just awful. And this is the first 25 minutes or half hour.
Right. And in the beginning, that's the thing. I'm sorry. No, I was going to say, in the beginning, it seems you're getting something that's pretty standard. So brother and sister separated, you know, brother, brothers being abused. The only indication that something might be a little odd about this is the sister has some kind of psychic link with the brother or some kind of connection. And
right.
But
and the movie is often sold on that. Kids have siblings have a psychic link, and there's a revenge element. That doesn't cover it either.
No.
Because that stuff gets dealt with.
There's literally a scene in the movie.
And then the movie goes.
I was going to say, there's literally a scene in the movie where something happens and you realize you're watching a different movie than you thought you were watching. It's like so jarring that this is happening. You go, wow, the
movie. It's the thing I found interesting about the movie was it's miserable, is how I first thought of it. It's beautifully miserable. It's a good looking film. It's directed well. There's some editing choppiness and there's some weird things going on. Like, I thought the mother actually committed suicide at the beginning of the movie. The way that they were filming her breakdown, but she plays back into the film. I mean, so does the father.
Yeah.
So you've got two sets of parents that you're dealing with, and you've got the stepsisters of Jack, who are basically one of the most memorable antagonist character. I mean, they're almost one character, so I'm treating them that way. They are, you know how like you watch a movie and you love the like Sleeping Beauty. Sleeping Beauty had the goons in the Disney film, and you really liked when they'd show up because they were cool looking and creepy. And they're like, they sort of are like henchmen, but they have their own agency. And I fucking every time they're on screen, I was excited. I was like, oh my God, I love these four girls. And you get to see them as little kids and as teenagers and then as adults. And they are like a force of nature.
Yeah, exactly.
As is the mother. So that's what's crazy, is that the movie doesn't just, there's a psychic link between the brother and sister, which seems to be unleashed when the sister is put into a coma.
Right, which is a very weird scene. The sister is being bullied at school, and she's, accidentally falls, and she's in a coma, and it's like, what? That's pretty odd,
Expect Patrick.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden she's out of the coma, and we have a scene where I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
You start to see him. Well, I don't want to. People are saying that it's a fairly simple plot, and I'm like, there's a lot going on in this movie, considering the fact that you could describe the plot fairly straightforward. Yeah, I was surprised too, because there's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of elements going on. It takes them a while to get the two characters. I think the movie makes really interesting choices in it's really hard to like almost any of the characters. And this is purposeful.
That's the amazing
part. Putting these characters off-putting. The only characters in this movie that you can basically go, I have no problem with this person, are her parents, her adoptive parents. But clearly, the seed in this family runs. She's uncomfortable. She never quite takes to her adoptive parents. She sees them as their adoptive parents, but she is socially unable to make friends. There's something in her life that's not working for her. She's not happy. So she got the idyllic lifestyle as opposed to the dread. She's not happy. They don't contrast these as she has the princess life and he has the pauper life.
Right.
The movie is just miserable, though. There is not one scene of relief. These characters are never purely happy, purely shown in a positive light, or leaving something positive. When nice happens to them, it's uncomfortable and weird, and there are strings attached.
Yeah.
I mean, the ending is possibly the only part where you can go, well, this is going somewhere nice, and you still feel weird about the entire scene.
Right,
It's just
unfortunately,
it's a bizarre film.
Unfortunately, not giving anything away, but there is a weird scene that comes before the end that kind of telegraphs where it's going, just because it's such an oddly presented way of doing it. The movie's very vague. Ages of people, I'm not really sure about how much time has passed between one thing and another. It's not minimalistic. It's just vague. It's very odd.
And it doesn't bring up. It's an interesting. I mean, I guess that's part of the fable aspect of it, is that there is a surreal quality to time and place. Characters are found. There's treks between, the young characters are looking for. First, they're looking for each other. Then they're looking for their parents, and all while this is happening, their actions seal their fate. Jack is a really unlikable guy.
Well, that's the thing. It's amazing that he's presented as being horribly treated, growing up in the worst possible environment you could imagine, physically and emotionally torturing, and yet he's not a good person. He does terrible things and is not very sympathetic at all.
One of the reasons that the film really affected me and depressed me was that, besides being a fable, this movie's about cycles of violence, of domestic violence, of family violence, creating family violence. And it does not shy away. I mean, Dora calls him out on his behavior at one point. It's an emotional roller coaster, because you are waiting for certain Hollywood things to kick in. At least I was. You're waiting for the epiphanies. And any epiphany that comes is more of like a nervous breakdown or a therapeutic freak out. He's horrible. I'm like, you feel badly for him, but then it's hard to stay on his side. You're not blowing a plot point when you talk about the fact that he does get some revenge on his tormentors. It's not what you expect, and it's actually shocking.
Yes.
Because at first I'm going, well, this isn't so exciting. But when he yells 2 words, I went, holy shit, this movie is terrific. Because they just made a choice to turn him into a monster. And you are rooting for him, and at the same time, you wish that he would stop acting the way he is, because he's a fucking miserable bastard. He's life-ruining for everyone around him, and for himself. And it is tough. There's another character in here who I could make decisions on, a character named Ted, who befriends Dora. He's an older man.
How much older?
And very, very hard to tell. The actor was in his 50s at the time, because he died soon after. In fact, he was very well liked as a musician and actor. So I was curious why people kept saying, "Oh, the great so and so," and I'm like, I obviously don't know him from. But the movie I don't know it, but this movie fucking kicked my ass. It was like the only movie the first movie that I thought of after watching this, and it has nothing to do with it plot, what was The Plague Dogs.
Oh God.
This is how I felt. No, but I felt horrible at the end of both movies. These were movies about abuse, and despite the fable-like qualities of Jack v. Nimble, it is a miserable, depressing, but thrillingly so movie. Its ideas and its quirks and its details are fantastic. So I'm getting off on this movie by its filmmaking and its performances, because they're keeping me off in a way that a David Lynch film kind of doesn't. David Lynch throws, I mean, I like David Lynch fine, but David Lynch really does throw a certain creepy tone at you, and you're not sure what to think because it's so surreal. And in this movie, I felt thrown off completely because of the subtlety of a lot of it. As garish as it could get, and as crazy as it can get. Because I mean, the fable quality, when Paul and I were talking about it, the fable quality to me explained the only thing about the movie that maybe bothered me a little bit, other than just some functional production issues with it being low budget. There's a couple of edits here, but on the whole, I found this movie just rejuvenating my interest in it every 10 minutes. Not in the way Grotesque did, just it builds on itself. And when you think that it's gotten weird and fucked up and compelling, it throws in a new element that feels right. Fates of characters, relationships between characters, outbursts of violence, just creepy. But it breaks the miracle rule. I mean, the first miracle is the psychic link between the sister and brother. It turns out, but it's actually expanded on. It turns out that there's a shining element here to a degree. There's psychic phenomena.
There's a Carrie element.
Yes, there is a Carrie element, and that goes throughout the movie. So it goes from the psychic link between her and him, and this is without spoiler. You find out that she's not the only psychic in the world. And they don't exploit that in the way, say, The Fury does, which I haven't seen, or the way, but you start learning more. There is a world outside this fantasy world where it's like, oh yeah, I have magic too. And it's done in such a bizarre, interesting way where it doesn't like make a big deal of itself. And at the end, it builds on it even more. Plus, there's a really strange machine.
There's a science fiction element to it that comes out of nowhere. There is, if there was a comic book that he ordered this from the back of, that would make perfect sense. We don't get that.
And they set it up, and now you start to think that he possibly also has some psychic ability outside of the link.
Yeah,
he doesn't really communicate with her. She can kind of find him, sort of thing. It's kind of like that Scatman Crothers with the boy. He's kind of, you could tell he's been alerted to something going on in The Shining, and she's trying to find. Now there's a really weird scene where she does find him almost. Remember?
Yeah.
And you're like, they don't think of some of his actions. I mean, you are just presented with his actions, and Dora takes it in, but they don't throw it at you in a scene coming up later. They don't go, well, why did you steal that money? Let's say. They don't talk about it. It's noted. It's subsumed into the plot and the characters, and the audience is sitting there going, holy shit. That was tough and creepy. I loved it. It's the best movie I've seen in a while. It has some problems.
It's interesting from what you're talking about. I could see that you could interpret the science fiction-y device as just being the way he channels his abilities.
I think that I feel like that it's enhanced. It's something he needed to be able to use his abilities, but who cared, right? I mean, I was.
Oh no! Again, because the thing is, the sister quality is that whole thing with the sisters. They move as a mass around. They're terrifying when you see. They're weird. To present it that way, the way it's shot and everything is definitely doing something.
Can you find a picture of the sisters? They're in. I think they're in that box art. Is that them?
I'll take a look. I will take a look. Yes, but I'll see.
Another thing that's great about this movie is that one of the major villains of this movie isn't in the movie much. Because it's not just the sisters. It's fascinating what they decide not to do in this movie, and they let you. I can see the movie confusing some people if they're not paying attention, and that doesn't mean I'm so smart. It just means you really have to pay attention, because some characters are only heard at times because of the psychic stuff going on. they don't do the game of telephone often. Sometimes you hear voices in people's heads. You don't see the person who's sending the voices. So either they wanted to keep that subtle and keep that straightforward, but they basically don't show the other person on the phone, if you know what I'm saying. If somebody is having a conversation or is being alerted to something, they don't cut to somebody else giving them the message. They don't cut to somebody's mind. Oh, God. Yeah. These four are like, how is not like the double shining twins of horror for people? I mean, I found them. It was just whenever they showed up, it was like Leatherface for, you know what I mean? It was like, this was the killer app in the movie.
Yeah.
These four girls.
Yeah.
Were
yeah.
amazing. And there's even a freaking there's even a car chase part in this movie, and I liked it. And I usually don't like car chases that much in a horror movie, but it was this movie's terrific. I don't know where it's available. You have it on your Plex.
The thing is, I
right?
have a DVD of it that I shared on my Plex, and I don't believe there is a copy. This is a movie that needs to be restored. It's not freely available as a movie these days. So, but the way
things will get like a next of kin situation.
Well, yeah. Who would when I was searching for next of kin, I was happy to get the terrible copy I wound up finding. That was another Australian DVD. But the thing is, that got restored. That's absolutely beautiful now, and that you could see on a bunch of streaming services.
It happened like right after we finally got next to kin, and we all watched it. It's like, hey, here's next to kin. It was like running across country to get like a soda that was going out of business, and you come back home and there's like boxes of it everywhere because it blew up. It's like, holy shit. I would love for everybody to see this film. It's one. I haven't been this excited about sharing a film with people since you shared One Cut of the Dead with me. I just found this, like, I had never heard of this. It's a movie that when I saw the cover art and everything, I just went. It reminded me of like, he's just going to kill some people to get revenge. Right. The funny thing is, the worst thing about this movie in some ways is the title, because it sounds like Jack's back or something. It just sounds a little corny and a little facetious. And the movie's not like that at all. And to be quite honest, Jack is not nimble. Yeah. Not only is Jack not nimble, Jack is probably not our main character. Dora is really our focus.
Yes, definitely.
He's her maniac brother, and he's got a stronger story, visually, physically. But it's at the end of it, I'm like, this movie is really about her. It's about both of them, obviously, but it really. And there's so many elements from other movies that it reminds of The Psychic Link and Phantasm 2, The Others. I mean, there's just so much going on in this movie that, and I looked up, you like a movie when you look up, oh, what else has this director done? And you're disappointed that it turns out they ended up making episodes of television. Yeah. I wish they had made more movies, because this is just really curious. He made a bunch of Xena film episodes and things like that, because I thought this was terrific. This just, to me, is this should have a cult following, if not a more better known. That doesn't mean that you will like it or everybody has to like it, but I just found this thing a knockout. I was sucked right in, and I couldn't turn it off, even though it was depressing me a little bit, because it really is. It's an unhappy movie, It does not have. It would be like if Carrie had no humor. You know what I mean? Just the oppressive feeling and the bullying and the social problems and the horror and the bad mom and the sad ending. this does not go in there. Nobody changes outfits in a mirror, and nobody wears a funny tux. There is no PJ solos. There are no bright moments. There's not even a fake bright moment. You don't even get Carrie set up knowing that there's the pig's blood above her. And there's pigs in this too. Oh my God, the ending of this movie?
Yeah.
Holy shit. The actual, without being really brutal, it's just a nightmare.
Yeah.
And the other interesting thing is that how restrained this movie is. Considering how nasty this movie can be, how restrained it is. There's gore, but you do not see a lot of violence, really. And vicious things happen, and they don't give these sisters, they don't turn them into like horror characters. They don't give them quips. They don't talk much. You feel like if this was remade in America, the four sisters would be quipping and saying evil dialogue and stuff like that. They are a very strange presence. And yeah, I totally want somebody to make action figures of them that I can't afford, because they were just so cool. They were just, yeah. So I'm totally in love with this movie. Yeah. I'm going to watch it again sometime for sure. I hope that they clean it up, because it does look a little fuzzy.
Right. Well,
and whatnot, but
yeah, the thing is, it seems like when you watch a bunch of movies, most of the time we come across goofy shit that it's like, well, that was funny, or that was goofy, or that aggravated me. But we don't see a lot of movies that we really kind of want to think about or go, wow, I was surprised that, it really threw me for a loop. And this does, in a good way. And definitely, if you get a chance to see it, you should see it. So.
Yeah, it makes me want to see more New Zealand, find more stuff from New Zealand and Australia, just because I realize that that's a blind spot. But it's also hard to find. It seems so weird that there are English-speaking movies made that you heard of. Probably South African horror movies that are worth hunting down. But it just feels like, why aren't these movies better known?
I think it's interesting.
Taiwanese films that are cult.
The thing is, I believe there's a YouTube channel called Cinematerra. Guy does interesting videos about odd movies, and I think the reason he finds such interesting movies is he's foreign. I think he's Swedish. I'm sorry.
Right.
But the thing is, movies get into the consciousnness because, when we were kids, they were always on cable, say, oh, this was always on Cinemax, and this was always on that, or this always played, it got there, and it was just over and over again. A lot of these foreign films never did that. They never got released here or released and made the circuit. So yeah, there's hundreds of these out there that we have no idea about,
And the other thing is, right now, is that there are so many films and there's so much access to so much product that even if you champion a movie, it's like the best it can do is do the Alamo Drafthouse route or something like that. I mean, you don't end up with like a Beastmaster, which just, blows up on cable and then it becomes a thing.
Right.
And there's a TV show, you know what I mean? Especially if they're difficult films that don't have likable characters or obvious equal potential. I mean, it's
you might have an easier.
What a weird movie.
You might have an easier time marketing this as an art house horror, so people will realize that they're in for something a little different with it. Yeah.
It's the kind of movie that people seem to like a lot and get excited, or it bothers them and they don't like it, or they think it's stupid. And I think again, not saying that they're right or wrong, but I think that this really evades your expectations. I really do want to draw the sisters. I want to get back doing those drawings, because it's funny, because the mother in this movie reminded me a lot of Wow, my memory is so bad. Sheila Keith. She looks a little like her from The Comeback and House of Whipcord, which I haven't seen. But what's the movie? The movie about the wife and husband who eat people. That Peter. God, I'm so bad with names. The guy who made The Comeback and House of Whipcord and House of Long Shadows. Peter, he's British, and he makes the odd. Well, he kind of is like, and now I'm forgetting this guy's name. My God, I'm on a fucking Larry.
Pete
the
Walker?
Guy who made Squirm. Pete Walker is really interesting. I wouldn't mind doing an episode of the show about him because I think his films are all functional and some of them are really good. And he made one. There's one. Can you read? Do you mind reading off? He didn't make that many, but he made something in the 70s, which has a really Frightmare.
Yes,
it's a generic title, so I forget.
Right.
Frightmare is really good. And Sheila Keith is the villainess, the main villain in Frightmare, and she's fantastic. She is such a. I drew her like 2 years ago and posted that around. And the mother of Jack in this movie reminded me quite a bit of her. Just really scary without like stabbing people left and right and doing, you know what I mean? Just really crazy. The mother was fucking crazy. And she's a good villain. She has real staying power in your mind, considering the fact that she does not have a lot of screen time.
Yeah.
She's like, you know, you're going to hate the dad. They tell you right off the bat. Dad steps on toys. You know what I mean? Right. And he's a fuck, and he eats like a slob, and he's a bastard. But you don't expect you know what you expect from these scenes, either culturally as an American or as watching lots of movies, is you're expecting Mom and the Four Sisters to be miserable.
Right. Right.
They're kind of horrible. Well, they are horrible.
Right.
But they all are horrible. He doesn't go around smacking them, and the mother, after a couple of scenes, you realize she's enjoying this. She's an absolute bastard, and they're all in sync. And wow, it's just she's great. Yeah, but if Frightmare is actually is really good. Pete Walker's films are all like sort of flawed. That's why I'm kind of comparing him to the guy who made Just Before Dawn, Squirm, Blue Sunshine.
Right.
I can't remember his name. My memory.
I'm looking it up.
No.
Satan's
Little Helper.
You don't have to use your memory. We'll just use the internet.
I can't get to my other computer because
Jeff Lieberman. I did. Jeff Lieberman.
Jeff Lieberman. Right.
I'd
love to do a Jeff Lieberman.
Yeah, I Blue Sunshine. I remember catching late night on TV when I was a kid, and it fucked me up because it was so odd and so unusual. And I remember rewatching it with Stevie, I don't know, within the last decade, and the beginning is terrifying. Oh yeah,
the beginning is insane. I didn't remember the beginning.
Yeah, fucking.
I must not have seen it because I would have remembered that. I love the conceit of Blue Sunshine because it's such an interesting way to do. It's a Romero film in a lot of ways. It really feels like a Romero film. It's got the social aspect, breakdown, the politics, and the cynicism. But instead of it being zombies or the crazies, it's this slow break. It's this pharmaceutical breakdown that happens over time, so that people just start going bonkers in different parts. I've always loved that idea of people. I'm really fascinated by films like Shivers and where people go bonkers and just start doing horrific things. Not like The Purge, where it's just vicious and it's willful, but films where literally people either become psychotic or turn into groups, like 28 Days. I really like that way of as approach as along with the here come the zombies out of the ground. That's always cool, but they're not dead. They've just turned into mindless, depraved, crazed creatures. And all of Lieberman's movies kind of run out of steam. It's the same thing with Pete Walker. It's like they're really strong for like 2/3, and then funny enough, I actually think Squirm might be his most successful film as far as doing what it's supposed to do the entire time. And people really hate Squirm.
I love Squirm.
A lot of people really hate it. I think it's terrific. I think it has a great sense of place. It's really creepy. It's inventive considering it has no money, and it's just creepy. It comes out of nowhere that they decide to go, well, what are we going to do with these worms? Well, why don't we have a worm man? What the fuck? He's creepy. I think it's a much better. I remember Sarah and I were watching it. We were like, this is not. We were expecting like a hoot, like a jerky film, because I had seen it back in the day. She had seen it back in the day, but it's actually handled intelligently for a movie about worms. It's creepy. I like the location. It's got characters that interact in that town. I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. But Just Before Dawn falls apart for me. We were all kind of let down. It starts great. Yeah. As much as I love Blue Sunshine, it really doesn't. It kind of peters out in the last 15, 20 minutes. And Satan's Little Helper just destroys it. Just self implodes. It starts to feel like a Romero movie at the end. It's so bad. Once it runs out of its antics with the kid and the killer. And there's literally a point in the movie where it almost goes, okay, movie's over. If you want to watch the rest of this shit, because they're literally. Have you ever seen it, Satan's Little Help?
No, I have not. I have not seen it.
The kid's annoying as hell, but the first hour of the movie or so, I'm like, this is pretty cool. I'm enjoying. Again, he's got a good thing about Lieberman is really good at setting a bunch of characters, letting them play off each other, and setting up the area they're in, the world that they're in. He's got a good sense of dealing with actors and putting them in a place. This has a really nice Stephen King town kind of thing. It's an island. There's ferries and the people do. I really enjoyed it. And then it runs out. It doesn't know what to do at the end. So there's a party where and it's just awful. It's just awful. It goes right off the fucking rails. But he's an interesting filmmaker. That's the thing about it. There's at least there's always a good couple of scenes or a good concept. It's like that Larry Cohen, Pete Walker, Jeff Lieberman. It's just that Larry Cohen throws a lot of action in, I think, and they're in New York and he knew better people. Because I'm actually disappointed in so much Larry Cohen stuff revisiting it. I'm like, I don't know what it is. He's a facile writer, a good facile writer who can make a movie move along really well, but he always worked with such crap budgets that he just couldn't pull off an entire film that's satisfying. I mean, it's a. Sure. I can't think of a Cohen film that I think is great.
I think Black Caesar is great.
Okay, yeah, I'm just thinking horror right now, but yeah,
all right, I mean, I think that horror,
yeah. I mean, he has a reputation that I think is outsized of his actual what he pulls off, but his films are really entertaining. They're not films where you go, my God, this is so boring, this is so stupid. The banter is usually good. The grittiness, the sense of real people involved in these movies. I don't like Mike Moriarty. He was, but a Larry Cohen movie has funny dialogue and real dumb, weird stuff and surprises. You watch Maniac Cop, which he wrote, and you're like, you don't know who your main character is exactly. There are surprises. You don't know you don't know who you're rooting for as your female lead. It's really interesting to see.
Yeah, I remember
how he plays with stuff.
I remember back in the day when I found out about God Told Me To, and I was like, oh, I've got to see this movie.
That I do want to see.
And that's kind of what you're talking about. It's just kind of disappointing. There's some interesting things, but it did not do it for me.
he's got these. He's really good at concept, and he's really good at things that most horror writers, genre writers, are bad at, which is character and dialogue, which allows a film to bounce along real well. You know, and he's good at set pieces. He's good at going, okay, at every 15 minutes we're supposed to have a bump. You know, there's supposed to be a piece of action or a piece of horror or something like that. Hi, thank you. Great to have. But you know what I mean? He knows how to spread a movie out. But yeah, the problem is most movies end badly.
Right.
And the cooler, higher concept, the harder it is to wrap that up, which is why so many dream logic movies never come together. You know, because they're, you know, you're watching this movie where anything can happen, and how do we defeat, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street disease? The ending of that movie is terrible. You know, I mean, both endings. You know what I mean? The very end and the John Saxon turn your back on Freddy, Heather Langenkamp is just Star Trek. You know, I don't believe in you, or so. It's just awful. Because what do you do to defeat a character that's undefeatable? You have some bullshit. You know what I mean? There's got to be some bullshit. You know, you know, it's the War of the Worlds ending. Not to knock it, but you know, if germs don't knock out the aliens, there's no way you won. You know, if there's a computer program that you got to use, or there's a magic spell, it's bullshit. But yeah, the high concept is like never resolved well. Like when it's a thing like Philip K. Dick tends to resolve insane plots pretty well, but not too many people are Philip K. Dick, for good and for bad. You know what I mean? He comes up with a high concept like Ubik, and I'm satisfied at the end of it, or The Man in the High Castle, or things like that, even if it's bizarre. But most people who have this, I'm alone in the world, or I don't know, nobody knows who I am, or I've changed bodies, or this is a computer program, and the ending is usually got to end up somehow a fist fight with some jerk at a computer. You know, there's no way to really resolve that visually. But anyway, Jack B. Nimble.
Oh, yeah.
Was absolutely terrific. I'm so glad you had that on there, and that I finally watched it. It's funny because you had you said that I should watch it, and I think fired up, or I had it ready to go, or something like that. I was like this. Do you want anything else you've seen of note?
Well, here, take a question.
Oh, I would definitely love to. I would love to take questions. The new Shin Ultraman. The writer director of that film did Shin Godzilla, and I definitely do want to see it. I haven't seen Shin Godzilla. I'm a terrible Godzilla fan. I still haven't seen Biollante. I'm like the weirdest. I love this stuff. I'll buy the toys, and I don't get around. I definitely want to see the Shin Ultraman. I like the. I saw the trailer that they put out, and they should. I think Naranga's in it, and the Gabora. I think, I don't know. I thought the monsters looked cool. That's all that matters, right? Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to see it eventually. I don't think I've ever seen an Ultraman movie, though. I don't think I've ever seen one of those films, because it's not a concept that really works for me outside of the show. You know, here's a monster, here's Ultraman, here's the science team. Are the models getting blown up cool? Is this? I'll tell you though, I really loved Ultraman Z. I enjoyed the hell out of that. It was the most recent one. Like, they solved some of the problems of why the shows don't always work beyond the fights. I enjoyed it's very silly, it's very goofy, it's very knowing. It brings back old characters from even Ultra Q, like the M1. I really enjoyed it. It's I didn't know that some of the characters were in series, like Mebius. But the fighting was cool. They were doing wrestling moves. The monsters were cool. The suit was cool. I just enjoyed it. The whole like kids buy this toy was even like fucking hilarious. It was just so kids go broke. You have to buy this thing and fill it with all the different Ultraman coins, or else you're not cool. Brilliant from like all those ads. And I just love seeing the monsters, King Joe, and all that. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely watch Shin Ultraman one of these days. People are already fighting over it. I'm like, I don't even understand what they're yelling about. I couldn't believe it. Like, the minute I saw the trailer, somehow I'm immersed in the fighting. Like, the fighting comes with the trailer. It was like, how did I get here? I didn't even click on anything, but there's people calling each other bastards over the designs of the monsters and then fighting about Shin Godzilla. Oh my God. Are you going to Oh, I haven't seen the Godzilla King of the Monsters. I'm curious about King Kong versus
Oh,
Godzilla, but I feel like it's gonna be.
oh, I'm
I feel like it's
I'm
gonna
definitely
piss
gonna
me off.
watch it, and it's gonna stink because fucking I
Yeah,
hated Godzilla King of the Monsters. Oh my god.
yeah, that sucks. I was
Yeah.
so into that trailer. That
But
was, I thought, one of the
I
best
like
trailers. I was like,
but
you
I
like
like,
Skull Island, right? I mean, I think
yes, I like that a lot. But you know,
people
again,
like that one.
you know, I prefer my giant monsters less serious. So
I do too. I mean, the problem is, I think that they're inherently goofy. I think that once you get past, they fight with a moth who's got two little singers. I mean, come on. Mothra's a great fantasy film. You know what I mean? They're fantasy films, and they should just have spectacular things happening. I don't want to. Yeah, I can't take that too seriously. Even a serious version should have just cool shit. And it's a hard thing to make 37, 38, 39 Godzilla movies. It's like superhero movies. It's like they're trying so hard to justify them. I don't think that, you know what I mean? They don't need justification. They don't need explaining. They don't need whatever it is they're putting in the movies that doesn't make me want to go see them. Although I remember when Alice was little and she was little, but she brought us over to watch a video of Shin Godzilla that was playing at the Kinokuniya at Mitsuwa, and she was really into the idea that Godzilla was vomiting all over the city and then like lighting it on fire. I forget what it was, but I still haven't seen it. We never saw it. I haven't seen any of the American ones. I do want to see Kong on Skull Island because it looks. Kong is
it's
he's a better character to make movies with, even though I like Godzilla more. I mean,
well
Kong is more accessible. Power is less. He's
the human interaction that you get in the Godzilla movie and the King of the Monsters, especially in King of the Monsters, that whole human interaction it not involving at all. It's actually, I'm back to a kid where I go, why do I love these Godzilla movies? It's because I'm playing with toys when I'm not paying attention to the boring parts. And now these are really boring parts to me.
Well, also they tended to know in the older movies in the Japanese early movies, we have this much money, so the scientists and the reporter and the girl who's in danger, they can talk this much. Then let's get on with it. Let's blow a boat up. Monsters coming. Then we have some more stuff, and they're trying to check out. I mean, some crap. And it's really funny when you watch them when you're older, and you go, "There's a lot more padding than I remember in these." I mean, to me, the only serious one that works is Godzilla, because they play it very, very. It's very dramatic. It plays into Japanese filmmaking culture. It plays into Japanese culture. It's got the only storyline that kind of works, and it's a very basic one. There's a romantic triangle, and this guy's Dr. Serizawa's nuts, and the sacrifice at the end is a really cool arc that they don't normally have, that kind of a human story arc, because usually it's just everybody waving at a monster at the end, going goodbye, goodbye. They just run around doing nothing or fighting gangsters. That's the worst in the later Godzilla movies, when you got to have them fight gangsters or a kid gets kidnapped. I'm like, just fucking blow shit up. But yeah, I mean, it's really hard to make a movie about a character that is the main character, does not have good motivation, won't talk to you, can't be negotiated with, can't fit in a room with the actors. I mean, it's a giant big monster, and either the army fights it or another monster fights it, and you've seen it over and over. And they don't add much to it, unless they make it Cloverfield or whatever that was, which I have no interest in seeing. I have camera shaky, you know what I mean? They do the found footage approach. They don't know what to do with the giant monster. It's a really kind of it's a self-defeating, low return, diminishing returns franchise. and it is so nostalgia driven.
Well, yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I had cut my heel open and I had to get stitches. I was on crutches, and I was going through the paper, and there was a huge ad for Godzilla versus Megalon. It was going to be in the theaters, right? Oh my God!
Right.
So I went to see it with my father at the St. George, which is on Staten Island. It's an old-fashioned movie house that at the time was falling apart. They've restored it, but I went to see, that movie there. And as a kid, however old I was at the time, that was the greatest thing on earth, seeing that on the big screen.
I wanted to see it so bad. And they put them on the Twin Towers, which was hilarious.
Yeah.
In the ads. I didn't see it until they did the ridiculous NBC prime time thing with John Belushi in a Godzilla costume when they showed it.
Wow. I remember watching that too.
Oh, yeah, right. Real quick, the Paramount Theater around on Bay Street, they pulled the facade down.
Really?
It's gone. I couldn't believe it. I mean, how is that not landmarked? The St. George, they've done a beautiful job. They pulled the whole marquee out. I was walking to the post office a couple of months ago, and I actually stopped still and just was like, something's wrong here. And yeah, it's a church, I think, like they always do with those, and it looks horrible. At least the lane marquee is still up.
Yeah.
But I still have to see. I haven't seen Biollante. I mean, the Godzilla films that we've liked, I mean, it's kind of like they are always decent when they restart, because they dump a lot of stuff. You're excited that they bring back Ghidorah or Mothra. They've done.
You know how I always say that it's the 90s. It's the 90s Gamera films that work for me. That trilogy.
Those are a lot.
Are amazing.
Those are terrific.
And that's.
Well, they kept them. They kept them pretty simple, and they gave the people reasons to be in those movies. And the fighting was It was just the team that did that just had some great ideas on how to do monster fights, and Gamera landing in a slide, and firing fireballs. That's all I want. That was that's insane. Yeah. It was really cool, the Godzilla movie where the guy has the link with Godzilla because he survived, and Godzilla looks at him and he looks at Godzilla, and Godzilla looks at him and he looks at Godzilla. Godzilla blasts the shit out of him with a fine fucking moment. That was all right. That was pretty good. But those movies were a lot of fun. Those not the show, the Heisei. I don't know this. I'm terrible at that stuff. When they brought Godzilla back after Biollante, and they had a decent run of films with the Batra one, Ghidorah. There was a good 4 or 5 film run there. And Biollante is supposed to be good. And I haven't seen Space Godzilla either.
Have you seen
Final
Wars?
It, but I love him.
Have you seen Final Wars?
No.
Final Wars you might like.
Sorry. Yeah, it's Destroy All Monsters.
Well, it's Destroy All fanboy stuff. I mean, it's just fan service throughout the whole fucking movie, and I believe it's the guy who directed.
I saw a scene. I saw a scene of it, and I kind of admit that it bummed me out because it's the opening scene, and I hate watching monsters die. And I was at somebody's house, and we weren't watching the movie. It was just on. It was Halloween. We had gone trick or treating, and I see get frozen and blown up, and it's a cool scene, but I got like all like, I don't know if I could watch a movie watching all my favorites get killed off left and right and everything. Did you see that there's a sequel to Versus coming out?
No, I did not.
45-minute sequel. They're getting the actors. It's the same director, and they're getting the actors back. And I think there's a trailer of it.
Yeah.
And it looks like it's Versus.
That was a big deal back in the day.
Again. That was a weird movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that was. We were dying to see that when we heard about that. We were seeing clips.
That was crazy. It's got a lot of lapses, but I really like it's like a touch of Zen for like gun for. It's just like it's long, right? Wasn't it long? And it has these weird lulls.
There's a lot of forest, a lot of forest.
Which is just kind of. It's crazy. Yeah, they keep going there. It's like more guys drive up, and park and run into the park. Get more guys. I like a movie where they get more guys. Get more guys, which could be girls too, but or robots. Get more ninjas. Get more soldiers. But yeah, how did we get on God? Oh, Shin Godzilla. Are there any other questions? Let's see. Did I see anything else?
There was something. Hold on. Where am I? Jesus.
I watched my first Amityville horror movie, Full Moon High. I have not seen that one. That's supposed to be a comedy. Is that David? I don't remember that one.
That's
I like that Popeye.
Yeah, it's Alan Arkin. It's kind of it's a werewolf movie. It's a teen werewolf movie.
Yeah,
and I tried to watch it recently. Well, a few years ago. For some reason, I watched what do you call it, Teen Wolf, and I thought, oh, should I watch all these movies? And I'll watch Full Moon High, and I could not do it.
Is it Alan Arkin or Adam Arkin?
Adam Arkin. Adam Arkin.
It is Adam. I like Adam Arkin, but yeah, I don't. He's kind of like David Naughton and John Cusack having a kid. Kind of. I don't know.
Yeah.
But if it's Full Moon High, there's a certain kind of movie that I avoid, and it's like PG horror comedy. I've never seen Saturday the 14th. I've never seen Transylvania 65000. I've never seen Haunted Honeymoon. I think is Gene Wilder, and I mean, considering the fact that I loved comedy growing up, and I loved monster movies and horror movies, I saw Teen Wolf, and I remember enjoying it. I never want to see Teen Wolf again. I never want to see a sequel again. I don't want to see a sequel. I don't want to see I don't want to see anything Teen Wolf. There's a schmucky quality to those things that they're neither fish nor fowl. They don't work as monster movies. They don't work as comedies. I mean, maybe Teen Wolf is still hilarious, but I remember it being very sitcom. And just not something I want. Teen Wolf 2, right?
Yeah.
Another Teen Wolf. There's a zombie movie Bob Balaban made, and I've never gone near it. I just don't know what it is about PG horror comedy. It's a no.
What about PG horror comedy? Saturday the 14th, that's kind of like a parody. And I think of like Wacko and Student Bodies and those terrible films. I love them in a weird way. They're so bad.
I haven't seen Wacko. I don't think I've seen Student Bodies. I don't remember. I mean, I went through a thing where I watched all the school movies I could find when I started getting back into horror movies and stuff. So I saw Graduation Day, and I saw Night School. I saw what's that terrible English one? Slaughter High.
Right.
I saw Splatter University, Sorority House Massacre, and some other, and they were all just. Oh wait, there's another one that takes place. There was one that was weird. It was like 4 people left over in the school, and it was very downbeat. I can't. It didn't have a school name, I think, though. Oh well. Graduation Day. I think Graduation Day was the one where I guessed the killer and the reason he kills people before the movie really started. Literally in the credits, I'm watching. I'm going, oh my god, that one's gonna die and that one's gonna go want revenge. And I was right. I'm never right. It was grim. It was grim, that one. I think Michael Pataki was in that one. It was terrible. And I wish I could remember the one that it wasn't good, but it had a downbeat. It wasn't Girls Night Out, but that one was Girls Night Out was weird. That's the guy who that's the one where there's somebody in a bear costume clawing people up with an iron claw or something like that. Right. They kill somebody. And I kind of like that one for there's a certain kind of 70s movie I can enjoy just to look at the meanness of it, of real people and locations, and I kind of just enjoy a snap that it almost looks like cinema verite. It's cheap,
right?
Not many real actors in it, although and you just watch it, and they're in real streets and real cars using real clothes and real schools, and I like watching Hell High, that was terrible. And then there was another one that was Horror High. Horror High, I think I liked. It's really cheesy, and I think that's the one about the kid who like Jekyll and Hyde's. Hell High is terrible. It's a rape revenge movie that is awful, absolutely awful. Avoid at all costs.
So it's a weird connection from what we're talking about.
Student Bodies. Why do I feel like I haven't seen? I should have seen Student Bodies.
The director of Versus directed a martial arts film called Azumi, right? Which is really good, but the sequel is better. And I'm just looking it up, and that's the guy who directed the Gamera films from the 90s. Azumi 2, Love and Death is really interesting martial arts stuff. I remember really getting a kick out of those movies. Whatever.
Didn't the Gamera team get onto the Godzilla films at some point? I think they made a Godzilla movie. But did they make the last one?
I don't know. I'm going to check.
Final Wars? Yeah.
No, well, no,
Final Wars just like.
No, Final Wars is Versus guy.
Right. Versus guy. But yeah, apparently I just stumbled in the last few days. I forgot I was going to drop you a line that there's a Versus sequel with the same actors, possibly same characters.
That's interesting. I haven't watched that. I haven't rewatched that movie in 30 years, I think.
I haven't rewatched it. I've only seen it the one time at your house. And it was just so nuts. Zombie gangster, sword, gun, martial arts, horror, Sam Raimi camera, craziness. Done with like almost no money, if I remember. It was just nuts. I do have to watch that one again. Definitely. So the other, I might as well get something called Dream Demon, which I'm already forgetting.
Right, I didn't watch that yet.
It's Dream Demon. What? You know what? I've already forgotten it. I remember thinking it was perfectly fine, but I don't remember it. And I just watched it like 3 days ago.
Right, it's the British kind of night, what do you call it?
It's very Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right.
It's Dream Logic, Nightmare on Elm Street, What is Reality, Sleep. It's likable. It's weirdly likable, even though it's not very good. I found it amiable. That word that I use for a movie where I feel like they had good intentions. They tried. I'm watching it. I don't mind the characters. Something about it is engaging with me, and then I forget about it immediately after I watch it.
Yeah.
Which is better than this stinks. Why am I here? I should clip my nails. And I forget about it.
Right.
Yeah, it was likable enough. There's a couple of scenes where they have some good atmosphere. It's jerky. It's a jerky film. It doesn't really know whether to go for the throat or not. It's odd. I think there's a couple of British comedians in it that I kind of got, they had comedic parts. It's a little jerky.
Yeah.
But it's not, that wasn't terrible.
Right.
I watched my first Amityville movie ever.
Which one?
I just thought I couldn't figure out what to watch, and I knew it was a clean copy of something. So, and I knew that it also wouldn't be scary and it wouldn't be depressing. It would just be a movie. So I watched the third one, which I didn't know was in 3D.
Oh, okay.
Which was funny. So there's people sticking crap in your face, and it really doesn't work at all. It actually has a first good like 20 minutes. I thought, well, this is professional. The storytelling is there. It's shot okay. The actors are professional. They're setting the story up and they're dropping in. They're not hammering it over your head, and then it just goes to shit. It's one of those movies that it tells you, see this object in the corner. It's going to be important. We're only showing don't think it's going to be important, but it's going to be important. It's one of those movies where the lamp comes into frame, and the whole audience goes, when does the lamp go out? And there it goes. When does the phone ring? When does the swordfish fly off the wall? and it's not a good movie, and it's a PG movie that tries to have some shock stuff in it, and it makes no sense, and it's annoying. It just at the end it was just fucking annoying, and it's one of those movies that just feels like you could turn a scene and you go, is this Ghost Story? Is this Amityville? Is this The Changeling? The Changeling's superior, the best.
Right.
But the studio movies, sweeping violin soundtrack, doesn't know how to be a horror movie. Terrible poltergeist effects. Yeah, I wouldn't waste your time on it. I guess I'm gonna end up watching Amityville movies because I haven't.
Why not? Yeah.
Yeah, the first one looks boring as shit. Though I remember trying to watch the first one and being bored. But supposedly the second one is fun. The one with Diane Franklin. So I'm sold on it right then and there.
Okay.
If she's in it, and there's a lot of sequels that are not Amityville movies. But I don't know what to watch, and I'm fascinated by franchises. And then I watched 2 other movies, and I'll start with the one that I have not much to say about. I watched a TV movie called Snow Beast.
Oh, Snow Beast, sure.
I kind of enjoyed it. It's terrible, but again, it's a TV movie, and it doesn't ask much of you, and there's professional people in front of and behind the camera. And you're going to get 25 minutes of skiing and snowmobiling, which is just annoying as hell. And I can't say I'm a big Bo Svensson fan.
Oh, Bo Svensson
at all.
He's huge. Good.
He's so big. He towers above everyone in this movie. I don't remember him being that large. And Yvette Mimieux, or Mew, she's tiny, and they're married. So when they walk around, it looks like Harold and Maude. It's terrifying. But it's not a particularly good movie, and it is funny mostly about how they try to hide the Snow Beast.
Okay,
it's cute to watch the.
Yvette Mimieux is 5'4" according to the internet.
Yeah.
And Bo Svensson.
He's what?
I'm looking it up on.
How Bo is Svensson? How Sven is Boson? He's some actor too. You get to see him. You get to see him in a hot tub, which I didn't need.
Oh, that's great.
How tall is he?
For some reason, I'm not finding it. It's driving me crazy. Hold on. 6'6".
Yeah, there's a difference, and she's thin, and he's big. He's big man.
Right. Did he have a stick?
It's just like the reason she is thin and small. The reason it's the thing that I enjoyed about Snow Beast, besides the fact that it was like I'm watching it at like 6 a.m, thinking this is my life. I'm watching Snow Beast on YouTube. My chair, my ass hurting. I should go to bed. No, I'm gonna watch Snow. But I like the 70 TV movie-ness of it because I didn't like those TV movies as a kid. I thought that, you know what I mean? They were very disappointing and cheap. And now I watch them and they're kind of like everything I didn't like about them makes me laugh. The fade out for commercial where everything goes red and they freeze the action. I laughed at, the sheriff is dead. Wow. And I just started laughing. I just thought it was really, they're going to have a Nescafe ad. I wish there was some ad coming in. But the way that they do this very professional, Love Boat Fantasy Island television movie setup of these things. And everything is so important and dramatic. And I'm supposed to really give a shit that Bo Svensson is afraid to ski because his time is over as a gold medalist 9 years earlier.
Gold medalist
which is fucking crazy. He was supposed to have been a gold medal skier. He in 1968 or 69, and he looks like he's 47. I don't know, maybe triathlon, but he's a shooter. And actually, this is a pretty interesting thing, that a person who can do skiing and shooting as your action hero is very clever. He doesn't just ski; he's also a crack shot.
Yeah,
which doesn't really come into play as much as you think. He doesn't have to quite shoot the center of someone's eye out or hit the monster in its give it sciatica by cracking one bone or something like that. The monster is actually not bad considering the fact that you only see it twice in the face. You do not see the monster suit at all. It's amazing. I don't want to blow anything here for you, but they kill the monster. And they don't even show the monster suit thrown on the ground like every fucking movie on Earth. How do you not do that? They show the monster from his point of view almost the entire movie. And when the monster is killed, you're still seeing it from its point of view. You're seeing it in the dead body looking up at the people who killed it.
Maybe they couldn't afford a suit.
But they had a suit. They had so much of the suit that I don't quite get it. Another interesting thing is that they actually went farther with this movie than you'd think they did, because usually the monster does not attack a group of people because they don't have a monster suit. But so the movie got made, and they had a scene, and ABC said, or NBC said, that's too violent. You shouldn't have somebody fall off of a ski lift, break their leg, and then be killed by the monster. Fucking dummies. So they had to make a new scene. So they made monster attack a gym full of like hundreds of people. You know? And if I was a kid, I think I really would have liked Snow Beast, to be honest.
Yeah, I remember seeing it as a kid. I saw it as a kid. And
his hand comes in, and people go, whoa, Snow Beast! And you see his face at one point in the window, and then he busts windows, and people go nuts. They knock over a special guest star who's in her like 70s, Sylvia Sidney. She takes a fucking actual legit bump. You're watching it, you know, when you watch a movie and you go, oh, they weren't supposed to do that. She's this old lady. She plays the mayor of Amityville in this one, although she comes to her senses, unlike Murray Hamilton. She's like, oh, the 50th celebration of the ski carnival, we can't screw it up. It's interesting, though. They don't make anybody really villainous. You know, everybody's like, we don't want to jeopardize the town's economy. But then they go, oh, fuck. Pretty quickly, and then they go, oh, fuck, Snow Beast. They do a scene, they do a panic scene, and the extras throw Sylvia Sidney onto the floor, and she cracks her head. And I think they really, I was looking stuff up, and people think she legit got sent to the hospital. Her next scene, she's in an ambulance.
Oh, Jesus.
And they think they really, she goes, do what you have to do with Snow Beast. And she doesn't show up for the rest of the movie, except for one funeral scene where she's standing there. But yes, I think that they remade Snow Beast with one of the Duke brothers or something like that. And people say it's inferior, which makes you wonder how fucking bad that is. But Snow Beast is one of those movies where they go, people are excited to see snowmobiles. They've never seen snowmobiles in their life.
Oh, yeah.
Skiing.
There was a time that they must have been
the elite.
They must have been selling snowmobiles and cocaine and wild parties in Hollywood because they were obsessed with fucking shit like that.
Helicopters, snowmobiles, jet skis. There's your movie, right? You don't need a monster.
Hang gliding. Remember when everybody was fucking hang gliding?
Yeah.
How come that stopped if everybody loved it, right? If everybody loved hang gliding, you never hear about it anymore.
And then a couple of movies probably went for bungee jumping. I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh yeah.
Has anybody? There has to be a movie where somebody bungee jumps and then somebody cuts their head off and then they fly back up in the air. You know,
I'm sure there's 8 or 9 of them. Sure.
That'd make a good compilation video if you want to work on that for me. I'll give you some Bisco's Zwieback's or something like that. I know you love those Zwiebacks. I think Zwieback's is a WWE wrestler.
Oh, okay.
Zwieback. But Snow Beast was more fun than it had any right to be. It was not very good. But the other really cool thing about it was that the technical advisor on Snow Beast was the guy who made the Bigfoot film, that Zapruder film of. Oh,
Patterson?
Here I am again. Yeah, I think it's the guy who worked with the guy who somebody on this thing was a Bigfoot expert, and the 70s was such a funny time for UFOs, Bermuda Triangle, Bigfoot, Satanism, the scare and the creep stuff on that. So there is hilarious dialogue of Bo Svensson basically going, no, really, there could be Bigfoots. And so funny because you plays a reporter who tracked Bigfoots for a while. You know, it's great. Actually, that reminds me about, how reporters in the up to the 70s, reporters were for some reason in the 70s, reporters were somehow like rich, super intelligent, super capable, jet-setting people who had no schedule. You know, it's like, I'm over here now. The guy in Amityville, played by the exciting Tony Roberts and his exciting hair, is a reporter and writer for a magazine called Reveal, kind of like a muckraking / tabloid / Fortean Times. And somehow he is able to buy the Amityville house. He's rich. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You know? I mean, top reporters couldn't afford this. It was just, I love a fake magazine, and I love a fake magazine reporter in a movie. You know, I'm from, you know, Exploit, or, you know, I'm from, I don't know, but, you know, they can't do Time, they can't say Weekly World News. And the offices that he's in for this magazine in 1985 are like Daily News building for this fucking dumb thing that talks about ghosts and shit. Do you ever remember anything like that? You know, like you know, the penthouse of ghost magazines.
No, I think the
about
40 Times, there was some guy stapling them together in his basement. I'm sure it wasn't, you know, there wasn't a lot.
Yeah, exactly. They were probably putting stamps on the description copies in the 80s if there was anything like that. I mean, it'd be like saying the editor of Fate magazine owns a mansion. Yeah, it's, you know, or those UFO magazines that go 3 issues and disappear, and then somebody does a report on the guy, and they find out, no, he wasn't taken away by Men in Black. He's in Poughkeepsie. He was a piping place.
I used to love going to like Tower Records or Tower Music and or Tower Books and finding UFO magazines from around the world. So every once in a while I would buy them. Now, I don't believe in UFOs, but I love that shit. Yeah, it's unbelievable, you know.
No, I am fascinated by the tortured logic. And I love also when the thing I love is how, you know, UFOs were big, and then they have angels were big for a while, and now we don't have angels over our shoulders for, you know, I don't know how that works. But, you know, it's like the QAnon shit, you know, it goes further and further. So somehow when they tied Bigfoot into UFOs, I fucking died. When that, you know, and so, you know, chupacabras tied into UFOs, ghosts are tied into UFOs, time lapses, corn hedgerows, crop circle, everything is UFOs. Bermuda UFOs, past lives UFOs. You know, it's like Flatwoods Monster UFO. I fucking love how UFOs, they're always, you always end up with UFOs, and it's kind of like, and how with race, if you're a racist who's into this shit, you always end up in Pellucidar. They love that fucking Hollywood shit. I just, when do we get to Pellucidar? And then in the Hollow, there we go. Octung, baby. We got the fucking Pellucidar. But anyway, so Snow Beast is funny because they really are pushing you on the. You remember they would, you know, now if they do, they kind of let you know what side they go. If you watch something like Oculus or something, they go, all right, ghosts. They're not sure if ghosts are real, or parapsychologists or totally know about it, but it's not proven to the general public. The 70s, all those fucking movies are great because people just come, oh, sure, everybody knows that. Bigfoots are real. Of course they're real. Oh, of course there's life on planets and they visited us. They literally just throw that shit out at you in these movies. They're like, oh, crystals. Yeah, sure. And it's like, I'm like, it's just so fucking funny because it's like they read that they saw one episode of In Search Of, and you get the entire In Search Of episode as your second act, you know. And this one, you got Bo Svensson in hot tubs or pools, telling this other guy who all about Bigfoot as if he's like talking about, you know, Lamborghinis and how they were made, or it was precious. I really, really enjoyed how everyone's just like, yeah, Bigfoots. They never once call it an abominable snowman or a Yeti, even though it's clearly a snow beast. I was disappointed there. I was disappointed that you never hear the word Yeti, and nobody even goes, oh my God, abominable snowman. But there you go, snow beast. My last movie?
Thumbs up. What? Yeah,
What?
I'm sorry.
My last movie is called Mutilations.
Right, which I want to see.
I think everyone should. Mutilations is my Jack V. Nimble is my. This is a great movie. I believe it was a great movie. Go see it. This was really cool. Well made, interesting, challenging, thrilling. Mutilations is a movie that I have never heard of. I guess I don't know if I confused it with The Mutilator, which is a much hated slasher film. I hate that movie. But Mutilations is charmingly terrible. It's like it's got all the elements of all the bad movies. It feels like it was made by like 5 people. The acting is terrible. It's very enthusiastic. It's incredibly naive, inept, and just awful. But here's the thing: they are so ambitious. It's when was this fucker made? Mutilations was made in 1987, 86.
86.
It's very local. Everybody's got accents. Your main characters act like they came out of girls' school screamers. They're just very. Nothing phases these 2 characters. He's a professor, and he's constantly called a professor, and he's constantly introducing himself as a professor. I'm Professor so-and-so, and this is my secretary, and these are my students. And they are investigating UFO stuff and cattle mutilations. And the special effects are... They do a lot of model animation, and it's the worst stop motion. It's like if Harryhausen was a drunk, and the model and his armatures were made by a 5-year-old. The main monsters are so fucking bad, but there is a mutilated cow that they couldn't do as a special effect, so they made a clay model of like a mutilated cow that doesn't look like anything, and they constantly keep showing this thing, and it's making these noises, and that's when I fell in love with this movie. It was made in 86, and it looks like it was made in the 70s. When you get to the effects, you get that split screen thing really badly from like why do I always Equinox. This movie reminds me of Equinox. But you know what I'm saying? The film quality changes whenever it shows up, but you can see the separation of the character, the live action, and the animation. It really looks like it's just so beautiful. Home movie, horrible, and the animation is terrible, and the monsters are terrible, and the special effects on the spaceships are terrible. This movie, to me, this movie was Ed Wood making War of the Worlds after seeing Equinox, and
I'm watching this
tonight. It's an hour and 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's on YouTube.
Also, it feels a little bit like Demon Wind because they're in this house forever that they don't have to be in. But at least Demon Wind was like, you can't leave this house because it's supernatural.
Right.
And these are people who can't get out of a house. It's just a house.
Well,
they can't. There's actually some gore in it, but it's special.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved it. It's terrible. So enjoy. I won't talk about it anymore because it's hard to explain stuff that bad films you have to be there. It's on YouTube. It's the kind of movie where I'm like, you're watching it and you go, they can't do anything right. Can't you do anything fucking right in this movie? If you order, they're in a diner and they order food for like 8 people. And the guy says, oh, here's your order. He goes, hamburgers and fries for everyone. And the guy brings them one baggie that looks like it could hold 2 hamburgers. I'm sitting there mad. I'm like, you can't, there's not enough food for everyone in this come the fuck on. Fill some eggs. fucking bastards. But it's totally no budget, trying hard. But when you see when you see the stop motion animation, you'll be happy.
Okay, cool.
You'll be happy.
That's great. I can't wait. Oh, by the way,
Mutilation.
Well, here's the thing. We not that professional. I'm not sure if we know what we're going to talk about before this.
Yeah, I didn't know we were going to talk about all these. I thought we were going to get more questions, Boogie Pop, but that makes. I mean, we can put up a list on. Yeah, and at worst to worst, drop me a message on Twitter, and I'll tell you what I watched. I got it written down, and Paul will do the same. We're not getting inundated with so many, we're not going to, thank you for your calls and let us Lawrence welcome amounts of mail. Feel free to, drop us a line.
Yeah, I will also, I will try to tweet out if I know we're going to talk about some movies. I thought we'd talk about Jack B. Nimble and stuff, but unfortunately that's not that easy.
Jack B. Nimble is something that I would maybe down the line pair up with some Australian films and New Zealand films maybe and talk about again, because I want to watch it again and catch stuff. Yeah. And I do want to draw the sisters. They were so cool. If somebody out there wants to make figures, a resin kit of the four sisters in their truck, I will start saving money because they were great. And they were scary when they were little. They were scarier when they were older, and then when they were adults, they were the best. They're just such weird kind of. I haven't read a lot of Lansdale, but I feel like Joe Lansdale would create characters like them. They're just four scary farmers' daughters, and they're always bunched up together, as if they're afraid to. They're so weird. Even in the truck, they're all in the same seat. It was so fucking cool. Yeah, they're great. They come, the Fable thing makes such perfect sense when you think about it, because it's like the adopted kid usually, doesn't have that many working parts. Mom and dad are bad, maybe there's one brother or one sister. But when you see those four girls sitting at the table, the movie is not your average movie. That it's got some things up its sleeves. A weird movie. And God, I did not know what to make of that character. Difficult character. You're never sure whether to like these characters or not. Yeah. It was so weird. So weird. But yeah, that Jack B. Nimble is don't watch Evil Clutch. Watch Jack B. Nimble. Check out Mutilations.
Yeah, watch
laugh.
Watch Wake in Fright. Just be prepared for some
watch Versus
stuff. Yeah, watch Versus.
And
all the Godzilla films. Watch all the Godzilla.
Watch a Godzilla. Megalon. Watch when they're in the truck in Megalon. That's my favorite scene, when they're all sitting in the toy truck and Megalon goes, fuck people. I love Megalon. I absolutely people how do you not love Megalon, man? He's awesome.
You mean as a monster or as a movie?
Yeah, they don't like him. A lot of people don't like him because he makes no sense. And I'm like, but you've got every Ultraman character that has like a kitchen sink on its fucking arm and like, a battleship head and because it's not serious, I guess. It's kid stuff. And I'm like, they were kids movies right after the first one. The first one was a kids movie. Come on. And I guess, see, I don't want to see King Kong beat up Godzilla either. I don't want to see Godzilla beat King Kong. I don't like that. I've always been bummed out by stuff like that. Like, I'm still mad to the day that the Wolfman in Abbott and Costello Meets the Wolfman gets killed because of fucking Dracula. I always liked werewolves. I always hated vampires. And I don't care about Frankenstein. You just know he's coming back. But I always felt bad for the Wolfman. Like, this was it for him. I don't know why, because he's certainly coming back. I don't know.
Yep.
But Is anybody more questions? I guess we're winding it up.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, we're coming to. Does anybody have any questions? So it's okay if you don't.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Or do you have any? Has anybody watched anything?
Or any other suggestions?
Recently? I have a quick question for anyone who's out there. Is there anything from the last 10 years, that I really should look for so that I can talk about? Because Paul's seen a lot more movies than I have overall, and definitely a lot more recent stuff. There's something on your Plex, the werewolf movie, WER.
Right.
Is that it?
Yeah.
What it's called?
Yeah.
I'm curious about that. That looks interesting.
That's Steve Sadin recommends that. He says it's one of his 3 favorite werewolf movies.
Really?
Yeah.
Right. Werewolf movies are hard. It's amazing. Like Tubi, The Beast in Heat. It sounds like porno. It's not good. I when I got on Tubi, I started it's really weird to scroll down the horror films and basically feel like you're looking at the same 7 movies over and over and over again. Here's a guy with an axe. Here's the half-naked girl victim with it. She's full of blood. She's got an axe. Here's a girl's ass with an axe. Werewolf, Bigfoot, werewolf, Bigfoot. It's amazing. There's not that many vampire movies. Vampire movies are easier to make than werewolf movies. Werewolf movies were hard. They didn't want to show the werewolf. So when did all these werewolf movies show up? There's tons of them.
Yeah.
And then there's the ones that all just look the same because of the art direction. Here's a cabin floating in the air, like Cabin Woods. Here's a cabin with a skull under it.
Right.
Here's a cabin with a skull over it. A house floating. Here's a house with entrails floating. Like, enough of that shit already. Here's 3 people. Our male lead, our female, and another female. And here's their names above them. Like, it's so... And everything's named... One of them was really... Dawning of the Dead, I think I saw. It's just...
Yeah.
We're back in the 50s with this just absolute shamelessness. And none of these movies look worth... And then there's the whole category of... Who's that actor who's in everything? The Mexican actor. He's in everything. And I know it's
Danny Trejo from Machete.
He's in Trope. Yeah, he's in everything. He's killing zombies. He is a zombie. His eye is missing. He's got no eyes. He's got an axe. He's got a hatchet. He's got a shotgun. He's getting shotgunned. He's getting axed. How does he sleep? Does he get any sleep? Bone Tomahawk. I've never heard of Bone Tomahawk.
I have not seen Bone Tomahawk. I know everyone who's seen it has recommended it to me to watch. I've watched the guy's other film, Brawl in Cellblock 99. I think that's pretty fascinating. It's got a level of weird violence in it that borders on surreal. The director has come out to be somewhat problematic. But yeah, Bone Tomahawk, I hear everyone say is pretty intense.
Yeah, I never heard of it. Yeah. There's a series of films that I have been curious about watching. Oh, you know what I watched recently that was really weird? It was not what I thought it was going to be. I don't know if I liked it necessarily. A Field in England. Right. You mentioned that. Literally do not watch that movie if you have issues with flashing or strobing. Yeah. It should actually have content warning because I don't have. If you're epileptic and you have problems with strobing, I mean, there's a sequence that just doesn't end. It's actually a funny movie. I found it. I laughed at the funny parts, which are a lot. The characters are really disgusting and nasty and mean, and the main character is a ditz. But I didn't know what the tone of the movie was. I was intrigued by what I was told. You know, sometimes you hear about the movie like we taught at the Mouth of Madness. The first it was the map of the books, and I just heard somebody on a podcast talking about that, and that's like that has nothing really to do with the movie. It's just that's like You know, the finding the map with the books is not what the movie's about. It's barely even a detail. It's just a cool thing. But it was pushed by fans early on as like you felt like they were going to start discovering these clues, and that's just texture in that movie. It's not really important. And the way I was what I read about A Field in England a few years ago was that like it's a bunch of people trapped in this one field. Like there's this mystic, you know, I just was fascinated by the idea that they were hemmed in by some supernatural phenomena or something, and they had to, and it's really not like that at all. It's just, it's independent horror. It's interesting. It's, I laughed more than I was fascinated or intrigued. You know, I found it more like a comedy. If you approach it as a toilet humor comedy with in the days of God, I don't know. I'm bad with history, but it was what era of history this was? What was it? It was not war. It was fuck it. Who cares? Just, you know, watch it or don't watch it. It's definitely not for all tastes. It's not much, but it's got a lot of weird stuff. I kind of liked it. I think it's one of those movies that there's a lot of shrug. And the movie that I hated, which I was looking forward to from the years ago, I saw the trailer for Lord of the Rings, and I thought it looked really cool. And it's haunted house area. Air goes to this place. There's a strange lady there, and there is this creature with it's an owl-headed, long-taloned fantasy creature, dream, nightmare, supernatural. Movie is terrible. It is just awful. It's I had nothing going for it. There's a germ of an idea at the end that was interesting, but it is so many films look good in the trailer, and it's not even that they don't come through on ideas. It's just they don't have the money to do it. Literally what you see in the trailer is it. And the movie itself is a lot of Blair Witch walking around. It's not a found footage film, but just a lot of characters in an interesting set, seeming like they're just making dialogue up, whether they are or not, and waltzing around to pad out this half-hour movie into a better running time. It was, I'm pointed because everything looks good, if you know what I mean. Nothing looks like there's so many cheap movies being made, but you used to know what was a terrible cheap movie right off the bat. If you saw the trailer if you saw a VHS trailer for trauma movies back in the day, or this mutilations movie, or God forbid, Evil Clutch, you know right off the bat what you're dealing with, because nothing looks beautiful. The film quality itself is bad. The camera work is bad. The effects you see are bad. You do not have landscapes usually. You do not have aerial views. And now people get up and they can make a movie for almost no money and fake the look of a movie. You know, you know, it's like everything looks like somebody on TikTok with beautiful makeup and effects over them. So the actors look like actors, if you know what I mean. They're able to they're able to use computers and digital equipment to make shots look beautiful, even if they don't know what they're doing. And they all can get a drone, so they can do shots that The Shining had to get a helicopter, if you know what I mean. So they can make the illusion of a professional looking, interesting film and fool me every time, because none of these movies look like what you think of as bad movies. None of them look like Ed Wood. None of them look like the guy who made Blood, the British guy who made those terrible, you know, you don't see awful looking effects and terrible filmmaking, and you don't see filmmakers literally using the ends of film stock that they got from the commercial house that they work at. I mean, you know, they don't look like Night of the Living Dead. They don't even look like Dawn of the Dead. They look like almost every other film you're looking at on the Tubi or on the Amazon Prime or whatever. I have no idea what's good or not. as far as going, I want to watch something that maybe was made intelligently and doesn't have to have a lot of money in it, but wasn't made. That isn't just a steaming pile of shit with a trailer. If you know what I'm saying, with at length, it's like there's no red flags for me. Or favorite single segment
from a horror.
What's your favorite single segment from a horror anthology movie?
To me, it's got to be Prey from. Well, it's not called Prey in that, but it's in Trilogy of Terror. The Zuni fetish doll. That's pretty much. It still scares me. It's uncomfortable. It's based on the Richard Matheson short story.
It's good. I like it. And it's got a great. Got a great ending, which most of them don't.
Right. And I also love Mannequins of Horror from Asylum. It's the wraparound story with the little robots. And I absolutely love that.
Yeah, Herbert Lom.
Yeah.
Asylum is Block. Yeah, the films that Block wrote are really good because he realizes the material's nuts and he has a good sardonic sense of humor. So they're a little EC comics. They're pulp, but there's human beings in them. They don't cheat. A lot of fun. I'd like to see Asylum has my favorite wraparound, I guess, my favorite portmanteau, or however you call it. I really love Beyond the Grave. Is that the one with Peter Cushing selling stuff, and if you fuck him over, you will have a story?
I think it is, yeah.
I think it's Beyond the Door or Beyond the Grave. It's one of them. But Peter Cushing runs a antique shop, and British actors show up at his shop like David Warner and cheat him out of things or steal or treat him badly, and they bring the item home and then they have a bad time of it. The mirror, but I really like the last segment in that it has a timer attached to it, which these segments usually don't, and it ties directly into Peter Cushing. So characters go, I bought a haunted phone and I shortchanged him, or I gave him and he's gone. But in this one, he's slowing out all the single bills that somebody gave him to see if they cheated him. And you're watching this happen at the end while the action is going on, and you have no idea if they cheated him or not. Whereas with the other characters, it's a really cute bit of business. It's people who bought the door, the last segment. And I really like that. Asylum is great because Asylum is the you want to work here, here's a test. One of these people works here and isn't psychotic. One of these people is not a patient here, and they're going to tell you some stories. I just love that.
Yeah, it's terrific.
Right from the beginning. Rather than the other ones, like Dr. Terror is great and Torture Garden is great, but those are just somebody basically just going, "Hey, come into my room and I'll tell you stories." Even Tales from the Crypt. But the one that sets something up from the beginning, Asylum, is the best. The movie, they tried again with something. There's another movie where they try to do something like that, and it does not work at all. And now the screaming's starting. I don't know. And it just doesn't work out of stories. But I like the Tales from the Crypt with Grimsby. I think is that the Tales from the Crypt with Peter Cushing with really amazing zombie makeup. I always liked. Grimsdyke or something like that. And David Warner Mirror I like a lot, but I mean I haven't seen a lot of recent ones. I know that there's been a lot of I think it's cool.
3 million of them.
The ones I think what's really cool about them is when they get directors who have done things and I don't like the ACs of horror. I hated VHS very much. I thought VHS was terrible. It was like everything I don't like about modern horror films, and also I don't want to read too deeply into certain films, but I think that when you're putting together a movie like that, in every single episode is about a dangerous, sexy girl, sex equaling death. or women being it's all about like everything except one segment is don't go near women, and that's just a little weird,
Right.
you know. Actually, the first segment and the really boring segment with the woman and the man on vacation, which was horrible. But I really hated VHS. They didn't even do the wraparound right. I thought that was a great wraparound. You know, they find videotapes and there's a creepy house and there's a dead person in the house and we're gonna start. Nobody watches videotapes with a dead person. I'm sorry, like nothing worked in that, and the wraparound didn't even come to anything. It was just such a jerk off. I know this sounds stupid, to be a really jerk off boys movie. You know,
right.
I really didn't like it, and but it seems that they've made. I didn't hate Trick or Treat, but I didn't love Trick or Treat. I didn't think any one segment stood out fantastically. I did kind of like the one with the bus, so as not to. But Trick or Treat bothered me because I thought they were trying to do too much, and it eventually the Center just hold on that movie. That everything was happening in one night, and it seemed like this town was too small for all these things to happen in without other people noticing. It was just, I thought it was trying too hard, too clever. Loved the little Sam design. Everybody loves him. I actually thought, to me, the problem with that movie is he was cooler looking without showing what he looked like under the mask, under the burlap sack. In movies now, everybody has to take the burlap sack off and make a big deal out of it. But if you notice, when they make him, they make him with the because he looked really cool, and they didn't have to overdo it. And I also did see the thing with him was that they ended it up. The movie, they all had trick endings, but unless I recall differently, there's no trick ending with him, is there? He just tries to kill somebody.
Yeah,
that was like a little. He's just their action figure, and while he's really cool, there's no reason for him to be there other than to make an action figure. They like we have to have a horror figure to tie this together, and he was too creep show for me. It's just the ends. It's not a segment that has an EC ending or a anthology. You know, the anthology endings are almost always tricky or like Henry like, and VHS did that too. It wasn't really a trick. It was just a stupid reveal or violence, and that's just not interesting to me as a short film. So I can't remember. I mean, none of those movies are fucking great. They're not brilliant, the Amicus films. They're just a lot of fun.
Right.
Tales from the Vault of Horror, all those things. Oh, Dead of Night with the ventriloquist.
Yeah.
Dummy. That might be one of my. And then had one of the most bizarre endings of any anthology film that you're not expecting.
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
We got one.
Shall we
got another question.
End it? Shall we?
Well, we have one more question.
I have never seen Peeping.
I have.
I've
it's great.
always.
It's terrific.
I want to see Peeping Tom. I like Michael Powell's other films, and I know this is not Colonel Blimp or The Red Shoes, I think is him. It's a film that I have to see because it's always talked about.
Yeah,
it's always brought up.
I think it lives up to the hype. It's beautiful. It's
really,
yeah. It's just the colors really pop in this movie. So yeah, Peeping Tom is terrific.
That's funny because I didn't even realize it was in color.
Yeah. But I guess
what year is it? Yeah.
I'm gonna look that up.
Because it's funny that movie killed his career and Psycho revitalizes Hitchcock's career. And I feel like they're sort of the same. I mean, obviously the cultures are different or whatever happened. Also not having seen Peeping Tom, I know it's supposed to be a little sleazier possibly. Or considered such.
I mean, I think Psycho's a better film, but sure. I think Peeping Tom definitely, lives up to its hype. Definitely something to watch.
You get the idea that Peeping Tom is more salacious. The sexual angle is not as subdued or whatnot.
Right.
And then we're back to Robert Bloch. That's the Snow Beast was written by Joseph Stefano, which is maybe why it's slightly engaging, because he writes good screenplays. So he wrote the Psycho screenplay. He wrote a lot of Outer Limits episodes. I mean, so the professional at the wheel. They literally had no money though, so they had to change a lot of. But engaging dumb movie, But anyway,
I guess
shall we sign
probably, off? Yeah, we're almost at our 3 hour mark. Thanks everybody who joined us tonight.
It's funny. I thought we'd jerk around a lot more, but we were actually more serious. This was a lot more like a regular episode. Yeah. Maybe it's because we haven't done a regular episode so long. Because we meant to do our Phantasm episode like 2 months ago, but
life
got in the way. Snow got in the way. Snow killed me, man.
Right. But we should be recording that. Hopefully we'll be recording that like within the next week or two. So if you like the podcast.
Definitely. I thanks for hanging out with us, because I really needed this. I've been feeling trapped up and haven't talked to Paul much other than emails and stuff. So we'll see you soon. And thanks so much for hanging out with us. I really appreciate it. And
good night,
Paul
everybody.
And I'll be back. I'll start drawing a Phantasm cartoon. Good night, everybody. Take care.
Good night.
I hope everybody's well.